Nico around here. Nico was all over it. No, James Gladstone, the general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and obviously with Liam Cohen, Duval, they make a big swing for Travis Hunter. They not only traded, swapped, obviously, with Cleveland, and Cleveland goes to 5, where they took a Michigan defensive tackle, but also they get second-round pick this year, fourth-round pick this year, and Pearl, most importantly, 2026 first-round pick. So Cleveland now armed with 2 first-round picks next year. Yep. And you know what? Betting on the Jags to not have an amazing season with Trevor Lawrence coming off of an injury, and Travis Hunter's going to have to get his feet wet here in the NFL. I think this was a tremendous bet by the Cleveland Browns. I get it. Maybe you have to hold your nose to pass on a talent like Travis Hunter, but I thought Browns front office saved their bacon last night. I like their prospects of getting a quarterback now much, much bigger. And, I don't think Travis Hunter, as great as he was going to impact the Browns win total this year, because Myles Garrett is the best in the game, and they're picking at the top of the draft, even with him being awesome. So I love this for the Browns side of it. It's working the draft. It's working this position. And I was actually impressed with the Browns, and I'm never impressed with the Browns. Yeah, but what is that? Oh, they saved their. I agree that Andrew Berry, the GM, saved his job for a year, but what has that ever worked in the history of the NFL? It's not how it works. It seems like that, but generally the unknown then happens. I disagree with one aspect of that. You don't think Travis Hunter would help the Browns win total? If there's any player in America who would help a team, the guy's going to be on both sides of the ball. And they did confirm that they'll start him on offense, but they'll work him into defense. I see the upside. I have never seen a defensive back impact a game like Deion Sanders. I think he can do that on defense. Right. I'm not even talking about offense. Because when you were playing against Deion Sanders, if the quarterback got it all sloppy, you were having Deion Sanders run back a touchdown. He had 9 interception returns for a touchdown, which second most ever in much less games and much less time playing cornerback. And then you have a 1,300-yard receiver. I think he's a complete impact win guy. I think you add 2 or 3 wins with Travis Hunter if he's healthy. Okay. I'm being dead serious. Okay, that's fine. Well, I'm pumping the brakes a little bit because I just don't think the schedule is possible to be kept up. No, I know what you mean. I know, and I'm watching Burger McFarlane on ESPN last night, and I get what he's saying about how the college game is faster. There's actually more snaps in the college game. The NFL is slower. But the NFL is the best of the best of the best. You don't get to play. There's no gaps. You know, there are bad teams in the NFL, but there's not bad players. But what is if you argue that he's going to get hurt because there's too much physical contact, I'll take it. But I've never seen that guy breathe hard ever. No, I know. His conditioning is super. He's like Steph Curry and LeBron. Yeah. He is supreme conditioning. And obviously he's now been in high altitude for the last 2 years. Yeah. He's been training like Rocky. Yeah. I was thinking about that. And here's the other part. Here's the thing. Like I get this. I'm hesitant to jump into the deep end of the pool on Travis Hunter. Doesn't mean I don't want to see it. It doesn't mean I'm not, Move on. Like, it was a case study in psychology last night where you had Cam Ward, who got picked number 1 overall. We knew that. Pearl, he's like, some tears coming down, which you understand. Yeah, obvious. But stoic. Didn't crack a smile. Walking. And then Travis Hunter, boom, dancing, out, banging on the Jaguars logo, like everything, and both are fine, and both are, your natural reaction. But how could you not get swept up in the Travis Hunter thing? All right, you will admit, this year, I don't know if he's going to contribute to the win total. Whatever is wrong, whatever happens with Trevor Lawrence and how he heals and how he develops, that is how the Jags will go. It's just the truth. It's hard to argue with that. It's the way the NFL works with quarterbacks. But you have to admit, Travis Hunter is just incredibly likable. He is made the Jags a lot more interesting. Just as a personality, I would say that if there's an all-personality team, it's Travis Hunter, Ashton, Jeanty, and Micah Buka. Those, and Jalen Milroe. But Travis Hunter, I saw this video of him fishing on Sports Illustrated last week. Like, I love this guy. He is an incredible personality to your team. He gives Jacksonville what he would have given in Cleveland, a whole new personality. They become a totally different team. As far as that narrative and selling tickets, they are must-watch now because of him. Trevor Lawrence I think he's a very talented quarterback, obviously was not getting it done. I think this is, like Cleveland, a narrative changer for Jacksonville. Also, I just loved
I admit that it was a super rich draft competition, but you saw that war room. You saw our buddy Tony Khan hugging his dad. It was awesome.
I reached out. He wrote back, said thank you.
The GM, James Gladstone, where's he come from? LA Rams, who bleep those picks. So the picks don't matter if the superstar is there. If Travis Hunter's a Hall of Fame talent, we're not going to remember that first round pick. If he's not, and that first round pick becomes Arch Manning, then we have a problem. But there's a lot of variables, before that happens.
I'm glad you brought up the Hall of Fame aspect of it, because you do this a lot, and I always clown you for it. I'm like, you're putting a guy in Canton already, but for this exercise, I'm going to follow you here. And we're talking about Travis Hunter and the big blockbuster trade. I think if I'm Cleveland, I watched Joe Thomas go from Cleveland to Canton, right? I'm going to watch Myles Garrett go from Cleveland to Canton. I see guys at other positions. Now, granted, they don't play two positions, but I see other guys at other positions have Hall of Fame careers, and I look at the Browns, and they are no better for it. You can celebrate those careers. They're going to be legends, and they will be rich beyond belief, and all those things will come their way, but they didn't win anything. And I hate to just distill it down to something so obvious and so elementary, but that's the league right now. And the Jags do have a quarterback. If you think Trevor Lawrence can still be a thing, then you're fine with this. But I get it more from the Cleveland side. You have nobody in your quarterback room right now. Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco. That's it. Now you're armed with not only 2 of the first 4 picks today, but that 2026 pick. And I think we saw, Pearl, a few things. We'll talk about Shedeur Sanders in a minute, not getting drafted in the first round. But we saw, I think, the impact of the 2026 quarterback class last night. The line was set at 2.5 quarterbacks in the first round. We got the under. It ended up being Cam Ward and Jackson Dart, who Manny's Giants traded up to get with Houston. But I think that 2026 pick, even if it's not Arch, Pearl, I think that it is beyond valuable. The Browns know it's all about quarterback. They didn't see it so far, unless they take like Milroe or something today. Or maybe even sure. But they didn't. I don't think they saw it in this draft. And you know what? I get it. Because every evaluator has been telling us this draft for quarterbacks stinks.
And I actually, it's so funny. And I've talked about this a lot. I don't think the 26 class is any great shakes either. I think the 27 class is the bananas class. Oh, okay. That's the general. Because
trade your pick next year.
Well, I mean, DJ Lagway and Dylan Raiola, and I think Arch Manning's coming out in 27. So next year it's like Garrett Nussmeier, who's already older than all these guys, and Drew Aller, who everybody in next year's class could have gone pro this year's class, but they all got 5th round grades from the NFL. So they're like, I just don't think next year's class is that great either. It's a lot depending on Arch. The owners of Cleveland, the Haslams, are close to the Mannings, and their NFL Network made that connection immediately last night. I just think, why would Arch, who's only 20, just turned 20, I don't think he's going pro next year. So what are you stuck with? Here's the thing.
But if you don't like these quarterbacks, don't reach.
I agree with that, but how can you have faith in this front office after what they've done?
Oh, I don't.
That's why I err on the side of like, is this all going to work out?
Well, do I trust
err
the
on
Jags?
the side, but I'll tell you, who was a giant winner here? I mean, huge winner is Travis Hunter, because Travis Hunter is not going to go to cold Cleveland. He's going to Jacksonville, which they said was some 300
miles
from his house where he grew
Georgia.
up. Well, he grew up in Florida. Then he moved to Georgia, closer to Jack. Well, he grew up until 8th grade in Florida. Then he moved to Georgia, close to Jacksonville. So he's out of the AFC North. He doesn't have to play quarterback against Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson. He gets to play against Daniel Jones. He gets to play against C.J. Stroud's pretty good.
Yeah. Daniel Jones is pretty good.
Yeah, but the Texans don't protect C.J. Stroud, so that's going to work out. And and Cam Ward is a rookie, and he gets to play with Trevor Lawrence as compared to Joe Flacco in Cleveland.
Yep.
So I feel like fit-wise, it makes more sense in Jacksonville.
No, he definitely worked out.
Joe Flacco?
For Hunter, this definitely worked out. Now, granted, you are... Well, we'll see, because Jacksonville isn't like a national brand. Cleveland has a little bit more... Well, it's a little like watching a car wreck sometimes with Cleveland. I don't know. I agree with you. And
Hunter makes them a national brand immediately.
I'll give you that. And I also, it puts me in a weird spot here, because I generally do not like the way that the Cleveland Browns operate. So to be defending them here, but that's why I got to call it like I see it. The first, this came down and Schefter starts announcing it on TV or wherever you were watching it. And I'm like, damn, I can't believe to move from 5 to 2, they got next year's 1. That, and also the second round pick this year. So I just thought that it was like, bravo, Browns. I mean, sheesh. But again, if Travis Hunter ends up going to with a gold jacket, sure. But at least Cleveland gave themselves a better opportunity, I think, to get a quarterback.
Yeah. Well, here's the question. Is Kirk Cousins coming there to maybe? Diana said Saturday because he's going to wait for Friday night. I feel like this now feels more and more like a Kirk Cousins spot. Unless if they love Tyler Shuck and take him, I still think Kirk Cousins would be in play, but.
Yeah, Kirk doesn't really do it for me. Also, I think Ian Rappaport had a report yesterday, right, that they're keeping Kirk as the backup. I have no idea. I don't know what to believe. I don't know. Let's hear from James Gladstone, a.k.a. Nico, from around here. Nico Scarlatos. I would say Nico's the new guy around here, but he's not new anymore. He's been here for quite a bit. But Nico looks like he's about 14.
And 120 pounds.
Yep.
Soaking wet.
James Gladstone, the new GM of the Jags, looks like he's the assistant equipment manager. But you know what? Looks are deceiving, Pearl. He worked for Les Snead of the Rams, and he learned the F them picks mentality from his time in L.A.
I probably got some familiarity with the them picks sort of process. So for our fans, I'll tell you, don't be scared. This is something I'm uniquely positioned to navigate.
Duval.
Let's hear from Travis Hunter, the man who was the pick. He said he was surprised about Jacksonville's interest, but is getting excited about it.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised, but last night, I looked at a couple houses on Zillow in Jacksonville, and
you had a hunch?
Yeah,
you had a hunch.
I had a feeling that it was gonna happen, but yeah, I'm super excited, and I'm super excited to see what he's gonna be able to do for us this year.
You know, it's funny. He said that he hadn't talked to the Jags. Travis Hunter had not spoken to the Jaguars since the Combine. So they kept this thing very close to the vest, which I get because you need Cleveland, to play ball here if you wanted that second pick.
Yeah, I mean, here's the other thing. Everyone had the Jags at the end taking Ashton Jeanty, a running back. Who helps them more in year one next year? You could also squint and see, well, Ashton Jeanty would have helped them more. But I think, to me, Travis generational, that team is depth-wise kind of loaded. Because they got a great pick last year in Brian Thomas, a wide receiver. So now they have Travis Hunter. They signed De'Ami Brown. They have your guy, Gabe Davis. They should, with Liam Cohen, I think Liam Cohen's a very good offensive coordinator. They should at least be able to churn out a lot of yards and points. Now, they're the Jags. They kind of slip on the banana peel. I kind of like them. And I think the GM said, well, this division is very, very winnable. The Texans scare me a little bit, but the Texans looked really bad at the end of last year.
They did.
I know they looked great against the Chargers, but they just could not protect C.J. Stroud at all. They fired their OC, which a move I liked, but they're still an unknown.
Yeah, and they ended up trading with the Giants so that the Giants could get up to take Jackson Dart in the latter half of the first round. And so the Houston Texans will be on the clock today because they have the second pick in the second round at 34 now. Okay. That was a stunner. Curious what you guys thought about the rest of the first round. We have to get to Shedeur Sanders, who did not get selected last night. So we will have some sound for you there.
I'll take a burrito, please, Miss Gray.
And I also am buying everybody breakfast because I thought that Sanders would not fall past 21.
Trying to keep track of that number. It moved a lot during this frame.
M takes another L.
Started at 3. By the way, I was with you. At 3, then it went to 9, then it went to 21.
By the way, I'm still not sure that those teams didn't make a mistake. So I will we'll unpack that in a minute.
You and Mel Kiper. I thought Mel Kiper was going to start crying like a baby. I mean, what was going on there?
Mel's been very much on Shedeur from Jump Street.
He falls in love with the quarterback worse than me falling in love with players. Like, remember back in the day it was Jimmy Clausen. This year was definitely Shedeur.
Well, last year was Will Levis. Or 2 years ago.
You can go through the years. Yep. He has his champion. The first one, the most famous one, he thought Jimmy Clausen was going to reinvent the NFL, and he's taking an L on that.
I think he was high on Brady Quinn, too, right?
Could be, yeah.
Cam Ward was about to get drafted #1 overall. And he's like, look at these highlights from Shedeur Sanders. Yeah. I'm like, what is going on, bro? Like,
they were definitely playing the Shedeur highlights when we all knew that Cam was getting selected.
That's crazy.
Can we question an insider? And I hope he's not listening. What is Ian Rappaport saying on this very radio network, Infinity Sports Radio Network, on Rich Eisen says, well, Shedeur is still in play at number 3. He said that. I'm pretty sure. We got to check the clip. Is that a favor to the Sanders camp? Because Ian was from Dallas. And what's going on? I don't understand. how Abdul Carter's telling reporters I'm going to New York, and people are keeping the Shedeur to the Giants thing alive, and then he doesn't even go in the first round. It just feels like a weird energy around Shedeur.
I want to get into that because I think you can assign blame to why we saw Shedeur fall out of the first round, and I'm going to tell you who we're going to blame. And it's not the offensive line of the Colorado Buffaloes. Who's to blame for Shedeur falling out of the first round? Because this was not a pure football evaluation.
Shedeur Sanders.
He's a wrecking ball, that guy. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Yes, I will get everyone breakfast. I was big wrong on Shedeur going in the top 21. So get your surf and turf and all your caviar.
Squeeze OJ, baby.
And caviar.
You can find it at 6 o'clock in the morning. 888-710-4ISN. Hey, want to also treat today a little like a NFL Monday in that we will try to get to everything. We know that if whoever you're rooting for, you want to talk about that pick. So if you want to do that, call us up, 888-710-4ISN. We're going to give you winners and losers. We're going to give you all the big stuff. But if you want to talk about your team, loved it, hated it, let us know. You can also watch the show on YouTube and Twitch, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet. We're on Sirius XM channel 375, bookmark it, and the free Odyssey app. Sit tight.
Duval.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie Perloff Show. Can I make a confession that I should make? I came into last night and I'm like, I'm going to support my media brethren, and I am not going to follow this draft on social media where tips are picked. Picks are tipped, sorry. Tips are picked. Anyway, I was like, I'm going to wait for Rich Eisen and Mike Greenberg on ESPN to announce the pick, even though about 3 minutes before you can find out on social media who the pick is. So I said, I'm committing to the TV product. I'm going to enjoy this. Then
how many picks did that last?
It lasted one pick because then I'm like, well, I need to know what's happening here at number 2. If it is a really interesting for hardcore football fans. It's an interesting battle trying to enjoy the TV program while knowing all the picks are sitting there, because how it works is the teams submit the picks via this intranet and it's sitting there for 5 minutes for the world to find out.
Yeah, every war room gets it, right? So
every NFL team gets it.
Right,
yeah.
so someone could be in Arizona and tip off somebody when they're 20 picks away from the pick.
I used to tip, and they used to get really mad at me. All you need to know is one guy who works for one team, and it's sitting right there on their computer.
Yeah, and you'll always get that someone from the NFL will call you and be like, knock it off.
Oh, well, they got
really
serious about it.
Yeah.
But now I think a lot of reporters will not tip. There's only a few that do. And I followed them last night because you're just so dying to know what's going to happen.
Can I just tell you another? We're going to get to Shedeur in a second, because I will tell you who is to blame for Shedeur not being a first-round pick. He never got drafted last night. It was awkward when they were putting the camera in at his party. To be fair, he had some good quotes. I thought he's handling it very publicly. You know, we saw Will Levis leave. We saw, when he didn't get picked. We know Joey Porter Jr. was so upset. His father told us this at the Super Bowl. He just up and left.
Yeah.
Shedeur wasn't there, but he's handling it well publicly, and it doesn't seem like his confidence is that rattled. We'll see. But here's the thing, nitpicking the broadcast for a second. Chris Berman used to do this as an art form in some ways, which is he knew the pick. This is pre-social media for most of it. And he would do all right, the Raiders are on the clock. Could it be?
Yeah.
Could they use some help on the offense? But he would never outright say it. Last night, they were just outright saying it before the pick even got there.
It
was like, by the time we were getting into the middle of the round, it was like openly, I was watching mostly ESPN and some NFL Network, but like Booger McFarland and Greenberg are just openly talking about the next Michigan defensive tackle that's getting taken 90 seconds before they even make the pick.
Well,
it's like they did the breakdown. Yeah, they did the breakdown before the pick even got in. It was weird.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And there was some mid-round right in that teenager. Yeah. In the teens, they started doing that. Daniel Jeremiah did have a lot of the guys in the teens on his mock draft. So I will give him, he's like, I think this team needs this. And it was clearly he knew the pick, but he had predicted a lot of those. So I'll give Jeremiah credit. And a lot of them were kind of obvious need-wise. Actually, in the teens, a lot of those did pick players that fit their needs. So it wasn't like that crazy. I understand what you're saying. But everyone knew the Bengals were going to take Shamar Stewart. Like, that was obvious. They needed a pass rusher.
Right.
So I'm not going to kill the broadcast for that.
Okay, let's get to Shedeur. And we see you guys on the phones. Again, we want you to call us because if you want to talk about your team, and we're going to try to get to everybody, but we may not. So give us a call if you want to talk about your team at 888-710-4ISN. Okay, Shedeur. He falls out of the first round. We have no idea what's going to happen today.
Yep.
I think the Sanders family, Deion, and by extension Shedeur, messed this up. I think that Shedeur actually is a first-round or borderline first-round quarterback, and we know that quarterbacks get pushed up in the draft process.
Right.
They screwed this up, and they only have themselves to blame here. And I'm not talking about 20 years of Deion being outspoken. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this pre-draft process. They called their shot early that Deion was going to be like Archie Manning, and they were going to try to get Shedeur where he wanted to go, like Eli. We actually have that sound. Yes, Manny from the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast. This is Deion. EJ, this was March. This is Deion Sanders.
I know where I want them to go. Mm-hmm. And let's not forget Shallow, okay? Mm-hmm. But I know where I want them to go. So there's certain cities that ain't going to happen.
Okay, you on point.
It's going to be it's going to be an Eli.
When he said that, and we thought Shedeur was going to be a top 5 pick, Perloff, it actually seemed a little reasonable, right? It's like, all right, you don't want him going to a bad team. But you know what? It turned off a lot of people. And, Eli Manning happened so long ago. We never really went back to say how did it, it didn't turn off the Giants. Obviously, they did it. But how many people were impacted and front offices were impacted by the Mannings doing this power play? And it clearly was unpopular. Add on top of it that there weren't a lot of teams that were really super in the quarterback hunt this year. Now,
there are a few.
Saints, Steelers, we still have guys. Giants, Browns. I guess Browns. Actually, okay. So
there were 6. Everyone said there were 6 quarterback needy teams.
And so you basically are cutting off or threatening to cut off some of those cities.
I totally agree with you, but you think that what about all the other stuff?
Well, what's the other stuff?
The fact that Deion is a successful college football coach who said, I want to coach my son in the NFL. I kept saying, you don't think Kellen Moore heard that quote? Like, you're going to draft a guy whose dad wants to take your job and is super famous? How about the fact that Deion is incredibly opinionated? He went to Colorado and cut his entire team on the spot. He does not hold back. If Shedeur's not playing and the starter is struggling even a little bit, how about the fact that Shedeur definitely called out his teammates? There's no way. I know Mel Kiper is denying that. How about the fact that, that's all I got.
No, and I'm going to add one to you, and I think this is why I'm saying that I think the Sanderses may have messed up this pre-draft process, or not may have, clearly did, because he fell out of the first round.
But it's not because of that one thing. That's who they are.
No. I think
that is consistent with everything that is Deion.
Yeah.
He is way too involved in this, and if you're a team, it's that I totally agree with you, but it's not just that. It's everything, Deion. It's a huge pain in the butt.
Okay, but I can't fault Deion Sanders for wanting to be a college coach. That if your coaching staff is so insecure that they're worried about Deion, I think that's more on your insecure coaching staff than it is on Deion. Like,
you say that,
he's being lauded as awesome for going to Colorado and turning that program around. But here's where I think they deserve criticism. I think they deserve criticism for calling their shot early. Hey, we're going to Eli Manning this thing, and we're going to potentially make it a pain in the ass for you to draft Shedeur. That looks like a huge mistake now. And I'll give you the second thing that I think looks like a huge mistake now. I think that Deion basically not just hovering, right? It wouldn't just be the hover part of it.
Yeah. Hover is a light word for that, but okay.
I think the fact is they put themselves in this, how do I want to put this? Deion Sanders, I think, set up his kid because of his contacts in the media.
Yeah.
There were people who made it about if you criticize him, it's about so much more than football. And while that may have been true and it could be true, it kind of set up this really polarizing thing. So I think that Shedeur actually is a team first guy that is a good leader that wouldn't be afraid to go into a city and be the face and turn around a team.
What based on what are you saying that? And the fact that we have no idea because we never know those things. You don't know until he gets to the NFL.
No, I know, but he did seem pretty comfortable. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's handled the criticism. He's handled criticism well, all that stuff. I think he would. But the thing is that he already became polarizing in this way because I think the media got nervous to criticize him.
Yeah, of course. His dad is Deion Sanders.
And so I think Deion's contacts in the media or people afraid to, Deion came in basically at Colorado and said to the media, started wars with them. Are you with us or against us? You're not a believer. It was not like this. It was warm and fuzzy with some people and not warm and fuzzy with others. Didn't need it. And I think that it set up this weird thing where people were worried to criticize Shedeur. I think they kept him. Even you just said, how was Ian Rappaport on Rich Eisen's show yesterday saying it was still open for the Giants at 3 to take Shedeur?
Why was Mel Kiper crying openly, just like Will Campbell, the Patriots lineman, and Mel Kiper? Why was Gus Johnson openly rooting for the Colorado Buffaloes in a game last year? Because Deion Sanders.
And that doesn't help
totally
Shedeur. See,
no, of course it doesn't help
Shedeur didn't ask for that, and it didn't help him, and it's not helping him now.
What did I say?
They messed up the process.
What did I say yesterday that Shedeur is going to fall, and there's one reason why? Is it Deion? Of course Deion. And you did bring up, I didn't even think about the Eli Manning of it all, but he actually, the fact that he openly said Eli Manning, I had forgotten that. You're right. It's all Deion. That being said, he's obviously physically a marginal first-round prospect. If he looked like Justin Herbert and was 6'5", then none of this would make the slightest difference, right? Like, I mean, if he was bigger and he had an arm like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen or any of these guys, if he was a bigger prospect, then they could overlook all this.
Can I give you another one? Yeah. And this is where I actually do blame Shedeur a bit, and not about his football. Combine. What was the story that came out from Todd McShay? That he came off bad in an interview, right? And it looked like he mailed it in or didn't care or, came off poorly in an interview at the Combine. And it turns out that Todd McShay and Brian Daboll are really, really tight. And I don't think it takes a genius to know that maybe Shedeur didn't do so well in that Giants interview. And here come the Giants, the one team that actually did trade back into the first round last night to get a quarterback. And if Shedeur came off poorly in that Giants interview, he screwed himself.
But
you thought for a minute that he actually intentionally had tanked some of these interviews.
Right, but
you wouldn't do that with New York, you would think.
Well, I don't understand. I know that, but the Giants spent the entire fall in Boulder, Colorado. They saw him at there was a Combine interview. They had him out. They went to Boulder, and I think he went there. So they had 2 full days with him. So how could that? If that interview was so bad, then why they spent 48? That's a 15-minute interview. They spent 48 hours with him afterwards.
And I didn't think anything of it either until we talked to Diana Rossini yesterday, and we said, "Man, the Giants really did their due diligence on Shedeur.
Right.
What happened?" And not only did she said yesterday, he may have rubbed people in the building the wrong way. Crushed. I think he did bad in the interview, guys. I think he did. And I think he came off. And this is where I will actually fall short because I think he has the ability to turn it on and off. I think he controls this. I think he controls how he comes off.
What about the next 48 hours, though? I mean, he spent full days, not 48. Yeah, he spent. There's a 15-minute interview with the Combine. What about going to dinner with them 3 times?
Again, maybe it came off bad. I'm saying I don't think he charmed them or something.
I know we'll get into the Giants, but the Giants are obviously very personality connected. The connections to Jackson.
Yeah, they want zero personality.
No, they want somebody they know.
I thought you meant from their
they
players.
Want someone they're comfortable with. They seem to be one of those teams that goes to the past. So you would have thought that Shedeur made sense for that. The connections, if you think that's bad, Todd McShay said, the connections to Jackson Dart, who they took at 25, are so deep, including the fact that Joe Judge is in Mississippi and half the building still loves Joe Judge.
I don't know why.
And
they fired him after 2 years.
Charlie Weiss Jr., who is the OC at Mississippi, is best friends with Daboll, and some of the Charlie Weiss Belichick connections are super strong in the Mara family. And, of course, Eli was pushing for Jackson Dart.
Yep.
So they basically... it's like when a company hires the son of the VP for the intern. That's what Jackson Dart is.
That always works out.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
And all those Belichick assistants really
I'm saying
are crushing
you
it.
have Shedeur blowing the interview at the combine on one hand, and you have the VP's son on the other hand. What's a company doing? I just feel like Jackson Dart was like, oh, they picked him for all the wrong reasons, and maybe they ignored Shedeur, but. The other thing, too, is they had a no-brainer pick with Abdul Carter at number 3. Yep. So this whole Shedeur thing was kind of funny. If there wasn't a great player at 3, maybe they would have taken Shedeur. But then they had Shedeur sitting there at 25. The reporting on him was so all over the place. I do like that pulling an Eli was a mistake. Then, Deion came out like 4 weeks later and said, hey, we like all these other cities, too.
Yeah,
and kind of too little too late.
That's
right?
when they saw the tea leaves. Okay, 888-710-4ISN. We have lots more to get to on Shedeur. 888-710-4476. Where could he go today? I just want to head this off. I don't want to make this a big thing. I took Bogusch's chair. I forgot to tell you in the commercial break. I'm sorry. I will make it right in the next commercial break. I couldn't sit on this stupid chair anymore. We've got too many important things to get to get sidetracked by a chair. But I realize now if you're watching on the live stream, Bogusch looks like a tiny person.
He looks like Yoshi from where I'm sitting.
I feel like Shedeur Sanders.
I will make it right in the next commercial.
Me. This is not your fault, Maggie. You deserve to have the chair you want. Your name is on this show. I have no problem with you.
Don't make it like I big-timed you with the chair. I just moved it.
No. I want to know where the blue chair that usually is here, where that bad boy went. And this has nothing to do with you. This is a Rich Ackerman problem, and I've had enough. I will
make it right for you in the next break. Sorry, Perloff and
I got... Are you firing Rich today?
No, I have no power for that.
That's how you make it right.
I love Ackerman, but...
well, now we're fighting.
Perloff and I got into a deep draft conversation in the first break, and I forgot to get the chair. I will do it. I'm sorry.
This is not your fault. I will not allow you to take responsibility for this. There should not be an issue with seats, but there is because of one person and one person only.
I'm sorry, I can't see you.
The microphone is pointing at his forehead.
Do you guys have you guys seen the new Willy Wonka movie with Timothée Chalamet?
Yeah.
Where they shrink down Hugh Grant to play a munchkin?
Yeah.
That's what.
Was that real?
Oompa Loompas.
Or an Oompa Loompa, right? That's what Bogusch looks like right now. Like it's a tiny Bogusch.
I wonder how Lil Bogusch does on updates. Lil Bogusch?
I feel like I'm talking to Jake. Jake Bogusch.
He does have better facial hair.
Jake Bogusch hit 3 home runs yesterday, by the way.
He gave up 1. He's a -1, not a +3, but thanks for asking.
Wait, he hit 3?
Wow, Reggie Jackson.
No, he gave up a home run. He did not hit 3 or 1.
Apparently, Bogusch's managerial debut yesterday didn't go swimmingly.
Wait, so Manny, why'd you say hit 3 home runs?
That was trolling.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Well,
he's 12, guys. Leave him alone.
I'm 45. Headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with our easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com.
What is going on?
With most of the sports world focused on that NFL draft in Green Bay, the Pistons tried some grand theft basketball on the Knicks in Game 3 in Detroit last night.
Jalen Brunson again at the free throw line for New York. And if I'm Robinson and OG, don't move. He did this on purpose. There's the buzzer.
No one touched it. No one touched it. The buzzer shouldn't have gone off.
But it did. And now the discussion.
Reggie Miller wasn't wrong on TNT. The clock started when Jalen Brunson's free throw, which he was missing on purpose with a half second left, hit the rim. Not a human being. The clock malfunction, air quotes, was reviewed, and the Pistons got a free timeout and inbounds with a slight chance to tie or win the game, something I haven't wanted to happen more in a long time, but they threw away the inbounds pass, so the Knicks finally won 118-116. Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson not even mad. That was amazing. They forgive the clock operator.
Shout out to the table. 10 years, I ain't never seen that. They gave him a chance, bro. Shout out to them.
Smart on their part. But
I got nothing but respect for that.
Yeah.
You guys are crazy. All these Knicks fans think that was some Machiavellian move by the Pistons.
It was.
Like they had studied the rules and knew exactly what was going to happen. There's no way they thought that was going to happen.
Can we hit the pause button?
Yeah.
You didn't know the rules or what happened last night.
Because
so you were
it's
in
never
zero
happened.
position to dismiss what the Pistons did last
So
night.
you're saying they planned. You're like, we're going to hit it early so it runs out and the buzzer comes so they have to give it the inbounds play.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I've worked in stadiums before. There's no way they figured all that out.
Very convenient of them to forget how to do their job at that time.
At the most opportune time
God.
ever.
There is no less reliable person in sports than the clock operator. And by the way, you
don't even know what happened last night. We had to explain it to you at 5:57.
What is the cliche about clock operators? When the home team has the ball, normally you don't hit the start. You give them like an extra beat. But they went the exact opposite because they were so smart. Come on, you really think that guy or woman knew that?
The clock operator, if they know anything, they have to know that you cannot start the clock until the ball's touch.
Yep.
That is like that's
Yes,
not
but
some,
you're
that's not some, like,
anticipating
that's
because
not rule number 87B.
Yes,
This
but
is like
you have to be
rule
really quick. You anticipating.
It's 0.5 seconds. It's not a lot. Very quick. It's,
my
The ball
God.
hits the rim. Just hit the buzzer.
Hey, can I actually talk about the bigger thing that's going on?
My
Scourge,
seat?
if you will. What's going on in basketball? How come at college level and now also at the pros we have no good inbounds plays anymore? That used to be fine. Now all of a sudden every inbounds play is like this wild adventure. Those used to be givens.
Jalen Duren threw that thing to Toronto. It
I
was
don't know.
absolutely incredible.
Why was he inbounding the ball?
After traveling all the way to Ottawa, what was that?
It's just like I think I have the point of emphasis that everyone should be working on this offseason. Your inbound plays, because for some reason the degree of difficulty on that got real high.
Well, Houston did win a game in the tournament on an inbounds play.
And Houston lost a national championship off one.
Yeah, exactly. Give one away, take one.
Had the Pistons hit a shot to win that game at some point, would either one of you have been here this morning?
Not a chance.
But how? Just
I would have been here to yell and scream.
Physically, how with 0.5 seconds left, how are they going to hit this 3-pointer?
That's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's the strategy for the Knicks. I don't like that he missed it. I thought that was dumb. I don't think you play with fire when you're only up 2.
But that's the new trend.
But
is to miss that free throw on purpose, so the only thing they can do is catch it and throw it from 90 feet away.
Which is impossible.
But the inbounds pass is slightly less impossible to make. Because with 5'10", you can catch it and shoot it. You don't need to tip or anything like that.
Derrick Fisher made a shot 0.4 seconds.
I'm just saying the obvious move for clock operators is to be slow on the button when your home team's waiting for the ball. That's what every other clock operator in history would do.
99% of the other occasions, yes. But
this guy
night
was
the
genius.
time to do that,
Yeah.
to create that, so they had the chance. So they got a free timeout and an inbound.
This guy's so smart. He should be running the Pistons then. He should just
He
be
might have been. Maybe it was
clock
Joe
operator.
Dumars.
I was going to say, it's
Big Dom
great,
for the
too.
Pistons.
They haven't had a playoff game in Detroit in like a decade.
And they were leaving with down 3 with 5 seconds left. They had given up. They had given up, and it's their first playoff game at home in forever. And whatever.
All right, we've got a lot more.
That's such a great point. It's not like they have any practice at cheating in
Well,
playoff
they had
games.
41 home games.
Yeah, and Joe Dumars is
Practice is
definitely not running the Pistons. Even I know that.
This is the first time I heard Detroit basketball in like 15 years.
They had like Chris Webber was in the building. I loved it.
Jalen
Rose was there.
Yeah,
He was at the clock.
Michigan legends were there. Not Pistons legends necessarily, but Michigan legends. Okay, let's leave it there because we have a lot of draft stuff to get to. Bogusch, thank you. I will get you a new chair. We'll get into Shedeur. Did the Sanders family misplay this pre-draft process? I think it's obvious. I think if it had just been about football, Shedeur's actually getting drafted last night. But they messed it up. Can't have sympathy for them. They messed it up. 888-710-4ISN. We'll play you some Shedeur sound. We'll preview round 2. We've got so much to do. M&P, let's do it.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining.
Hitting up the show, Maggie and Perloff dropping takes that glow in the chat. Stunner Filmo runs the scene, spitting fire so hot it makes the snow seem mean.
Manny's desk is a surge.
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining.
Power. Wait, hold up, no seat in sight. Her chair is gone this quiet night. Odyssey's finest, infinity's pride. Now Amy's pacing, no place to slide. She scans the room, but it's just air. The burning question, who took my chair? Ooh, who stole Amy's chair? Was it Zach Joe with his innocent stare? Or Ryan Hickey with his towering hair? It's not people lying, he's never there. Somebody fess up, who stole Amy's chair? Zach says, hey, I didn't steal, I never mess with Amy's wheels. Ryan's hair is high and proud, but he swears he's innocent, yelling out loud, I got no motive, I'm just tall. His hair almost scrapes the studio wall, but Amy's still standing, no time for lies. Someone's gonna pay no more alibis. Who stole Amy's chair? Was it Zach Shell with his innocent stare? Or Ryan Hickey with his towering hair? Not people lying, he's never there. Somebody fess up.
Shedeur Sanders still available today. We'll see how far does he fall because, second round quarterbacks, it's kind of rare.
Yeah. I think there have been, I have to get them, maybe 6 or 7 in the last 20 years or something.
It's not a big deal. Although you still have Jalen Milroe on the board. Shedeur Sanders is still on the board. Tyler Shuck's still on the board. So all these guys we talked about, only 2 went in the first round. I want to give you guys a chance to get in on this conversation. How'd you feel about your team and the move they made last night? Chris is in Birmingham, is not happy this morning as a Saints fan. What's up, Chris?
Well, Maggie, they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over, expecting the same results. Well, the New Orleans Saints do their best to constantly draft O-line, D-line, and call themselves investing into future investments. Well, the thing about investments is, even in the stock market, things will tell you this. The experts will tell you this. You have to get a return back on those investments. The amount of D-line players that that have either gone and haven't produced much is extenuous. Going from Peyton Turner to Marcus Davenport, who's probably in Minnesota right now. And then the O-line. Oh, look what happened. I understand that Ryan Ramczyk retired.
Yeah, that was the reason.
No, it's because Trevor Penning's terrible. That's why this is all happening.
They've missed that. So they've gone. The thing about the Saints, they've gone a lot heavy on first-round picks on the offensive line. But Ramczyk was great, but he retired, and they haven't hit on all these guys. So
wow.
But here's the thing. You also last year you drafted Tuish Fuaga in the first round, and the year prior Eric McCoy and Rodgers, Pete, he went AWOL. So it's like, and you guys remember I called. It was not even about getting Shedeur, Jalen Milroe, anyone. It's more so just don't do what you normally expect to do.
Do something different.
I was fine.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. Chris, I'm going to give you a little optimism here. First of all, you have a chance today. I mean, I know it's a second round pick, but Saints are on the clock for the 40th pick, so the 8th pick in the second round. And we'll see who you get Jalen Milroe. Maybe there's something exciting there, and now you got offensive line, and it all seems to make sense.
Here's the thing: you let your adversary, being Tampa Bay, still your best wideout in the draft, and and the Browns are two spots ahead of you, 2 picks ahead of you. Who's to say they don't get a QB or something else you could have got? Because I would have been fine with Jalen Walker or Micah from the D-back
from Georgia.
But we are.
But wait, you just said you were tired of drafting these fast pass rushers, and then you want to get one. I mean, I'm not sure. You ruled out the two most.
Well, I'm going to say edge rusher. My bad.
Well, Kelvin Banks is
sorry, Chris.
He's the most beloved prospect of the top 10.
Did not have a great season this year, though, but was dealing with injury. Maybe not a great omen when the little baby that he had, which is very, very cute, and his wife or girlfriend, whoever it was, holding the baby, and they all start celebrating. The kid just pukes. But anyway.
I would say he is the most beloved lineman. Like, the media went bananas over him this week. They said they thought the Saints would take him at 6. He was the fastest riser. This seems like a no-brainer pick.
Listen, until the Saints figure out what the heck is going on at quarterback, I don't know how you can be excited about anything. What's going on?
Well, that's definitely wait till next year, kind of.
Josh is in Erie, Pennsylvania. Who's playing this year? I'd love to know. Hey, Josh.
Derek Carr.
Yeah, are you sure about that?
That's a fake shoulder injury if I've ever seen one.
Josh, what's up, dude?
I am so happy with what the Rams did. Getting a first next year puts us in the potential Archie Manning sweepstakes for a year to sit behind Stafford. I think we fleeced the Falcons with that pick, with a first-round pick for next year. The Falcons have picked in the top 7 like the past 20 years of my life, it seems.
Yeah. Listen, it's a great bet by the Rams. Great bet, because they're going to need the heir apparent to Matthew Stafford, which we thought may happen this year, but now looks like it could be next year because they got that first-round pick. And it is so smart. Just like, in some ways, the Browns, I thought, were smart to bet that the Jags might not be very good this year with Trevor Lawrence coming off on an injury, new coach. It's the Jags, after all, to get their first-round pick for Travis Hunter. Rams, very smart, because you're right. Could you see the Falcons? Like, could Michael Penix have a bad season and they end up in the basement? It's possible. Maybe not the number 1 overall pick, but you could easily be top 6.
Wait, let me get this straight.
Yeah.
You guys think that trading the number 27 pick, was it 27?
It was
27 for next year's first
26.
round pick is a smart move. You guys really? Duh. The only question is, ethically, is it okay to rob from a drunk person? Because that's what they did. I can't believe the rest of the NFL is like, why did we call Atlanta? Atlanta is out of their mind. The Rams lucked into this like crazy. There's no smart. every GM on planet Earth would have done that deal. I can't believe Atlanta did this.
Well, they must really think that James Pierce Jr. is going to be the next thing.
The rest of the NFL does not think that.
They did not think that. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Again, we're going to try to get to everything. But just like these last two callers, if you want to call out your team specifically for doing something awesome, doing something stupid, let us know. We will talk about whether the Giants made the right move, getting Jackson Dart next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
I'll tell you what, for a draft that's supposedly light on stars, was not light on drama. Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Started with a bang. Well, not Cam Ward. That was expected. But the Jacksonville Jaguars just jumped in with 2 feet. They trade up from 5 to 2, with the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland gets a haul. They get the Jacksonville's 5th overall pick, 2nd rounder today, which is the 2nd pick today. So now they have 2 of the first 4 picks today, Cleveland does. They got a 4th round pick this year, and they got next year's first. These 2026 first round picks seem to be very, very popular and valuable. We can talk about that now for a whole calendar year. But the other big surprise maybe is a little strong, but the other big move that happened in the first round was the New York Giants, Manny's New York Giants, desperate for a quarterback, trade back into the first round to take Jackson Dart.
Right.
Shedeur Sanders gets closed out of the first round. He's still waiting. And Pearl, it's Ole Miss Jackson Dart, who is now going to be the future for the New York Giants.
Such a weird week leading up to the draft. If you follow all the insiders, it was, Shedeur might go number 3 to the Giants, combined with, the Giants are definitely trading into the first round to get Jackson Dart. But people thought in that scenario, Shedeur might be gone at 21 to the Steelers, and then Jackson Dart goes 25. But they clearly had their mindset on Jackson Dart. I don't know why they didn't. They probably could have waited. It was a fear that the Saints were going to jump them, who also reportedly like Dart. They probably could have waited to 34. But no, they didn't have to give up that much. So they're not killing themselves with this move. The only real cost to me is that means they're committed to Jackson Dart, and they're not going to get in on the next 2 quarterback classes. So I got to be honest, I'm not totally sure where this all goes.
Yeah, I hate to be that person who's just the negative Nelly here after the draft, because I know you draft a quarterback in the first round, wherever it is in the first round, you want to get really excited about it. But I'm sorry, Manny, I don't know if this is a great fit. And it's not because I don't think that Brian Daboll can't help Jackson Dart. I just don't know if guys who have come from that kind of system, which is not what Lane Kiffin was running at USC. This is more of an Art Briles kind of system. And we just haven't seen a lot of evidence that guys who are doing no pre-snap stuff, that are not doing any cadence stuff, that are really having, it's a steep learning curve. Now, listen, smart on the Giants, and Russell Wilson is there. So you got Russell Wilson, who's probably going to start the first 8 games.
Don't forget Jameis Winston.
Well, Jameis is a backup. But Russ is going to start, but they did this they brought Kurt Warner, future Hall of Famer, in for Eli Manning. And I believe Kurt started the first 10 games, and then Eli took over and got his feet wet a little bit and then took over from there. And I think the Giants are going to try to do the exact same thing here. And obviously it worked out with Eli. I don't see the same thing happening with Jackson Dart. I think this is a reach. It'd be the second reach for the Giants. They reached for Daniel Jones. Different regime. They reached for Daniel Jones. It blew up in their faces, and I don't love it here.
It's not as big a reach because Daniel Jones was number 6. This is less of a reach. Daniel Jeremiah, NFL Network, had a good point. Jackson Dart is the second one to the podium behind Abdul Carter, technically in order. So you have the Abdul Carter cover because you probably have a superstar pass rusher. So this is not going to totally blow up in the Giants' face. If they had taken him at number 3, then we're talking, I'd be like, oh my God, the Giants are going to be picking top 10 for the next 5 years. Here's the thing. Would you squint and say you took him at 25, you can take a quarterback in the next 2 years? You don't have to commit to him full time. Kind of like the Steelers immediately moved on from Kenny Pickett. The Cardinals
and that's
famously
looked at as a failure.
Yeah, but you can. It's not a franchise killing failure like signing Deshaun Watson for $220 million. It's not like the Jets taking Zach Wilson. This is a little different. I think they said 25. Okay, we'll take him here. Hopefully it works out. If not, we're not terrified of taking another quarterback down the road. That is, if I'm a Giants fan, that's what I have to hear.
Well, I'd say the good thing for the Giants is that they did not give up the future first-round pick, which is weird because the Falcons, who traded up with the Rams, literally the next pick gave up a first-round pick to the Rams. So
right, but they didn't. But they didn't have the 33 pick to give up.
They didn't have that.
So they only moved up
there.
8 spot. There was an 8-spot drop. Not that big a deal.
But let's listen to Brian Daboll. Okay, so here's Brian Daboll, the head coach of the New York Giants, says Jackson Dart has the qualities you want in a quarterback.
I think he's got a lot of qualities you look for in a good quarterback. He's tough, makes good decisions with the football, pushes the ball down the field, has athletic ability, played in a really tough conference, started there at USC as a young guy, but, did a really good job throughout this process of our meetings, board work, workouts, and the tape that we like. So look forward to working with him. I'm glad he's here, and we'll get started as soon as we can.
When someone takes like a big deep breath, like in the middle of a sentence, whether they mean it or not, it kind of sounds like they're like, we're going to work with them. Anyway, it doesn't exude like excitement, but it was late.
I'm very thrilled.
Yeah. As a fan, you are really looking forward to Jackson Dart. Okay, here's more from Daboll. Says Dart has winning qualities.
He's a leader. He was smart. He has the attributes that we were looking for. So excited to have him. Look forward to getting him in the room, and he's got a lot to learn. It'll be a process here with him, but he's a guy we look forward to working with.
Okay, so the winning qualities. Where? High school? He was very good in high school. And
Great player of the year. But
he was.
Wait, you're saying he didn't win in Mississippi? He's better than Eli was in Mississippi.
They didn't make the college football playoff when they had it.
This is Mississippi. This
was the best Ole Miss team they had. They sunk millions and millions of dollars into this team.
But they're Mississippi. They're not Alabama. I think it's probably the winningest stretch they've ever had.
I just know that going into that Florida game, they had a shot to make the college football playoff, and he did not play well. Anyway,
I
you're not going to hold one game against him.
He's definitely a winning quarterback. More winning than Shedeur.
Fair, but, Ole Miss did have more of a head start than Colorado.
Right. But it's not, I'm just saying, it's not Georgia or Alabama. I do think you can't kill Jackson Dart. They've never been good.
There's levels to this thing, even in the SEC. Yeah. I will agree with you.
And they did beat Georgia. So I think that was the game. You have to look at the right tape. Ignore the Florida tape, play the Georgia tape.
I'll be honest, that Georgia tape, he missed part of the game where they scored a touchdown with another quarterback.
Austin Simmons looked great.
Well.
But did he have one big play in the second half?
They scored 22 points. It wasn't
Carson Beck didn't play well in that game.
Yeah, that was a defensive game. It was a rain game.
Yeah.
Where are these big Jackson Dart performances against big teams?
That's what I think the Giants here, I think there's two things that happen. One, I think Shedeur Sanders and the Sanders family messed up the pre-draft process. I'm going to go on record as that. I think they misplayed this thing. I think they came out kind of calling their shot early. They didn't read the room, so to speak, or they didn't read the landscape. And they didn't, I think, understand something pretty fundamental here, that people were maybe looking for reasons not to draft Shedeur as opposed to looking for reasons to draft him. Now, that's not Shedeur's fault, but that's just the reality, is what it is type thing. And they came out guns a-blazing saying, we're going to Eli Manning this thing, and it turns out they didn't really have a leg to stand on. Now, this could all work out great for Shedeur. He could go in the second round, Pearl, still to the Steelers, still to the Saints. He could find himself in a better spot. He'd go to the Rams. Hell, who knows? Maybe the Rams don't want to wait around until 2026. Maybe he's back up to Stafford, and this whole thing takes a wild swing in a positive direction. But I do think that if you're the result might still end up being good, but the process that the Sanders did here was not good, because I think that Shedeur is actually a better prospect than Jackson Dart.
I think you're focusing on one aspect way too much in this Sanders thing. The fact that he was going to pull an Eli, it's everything about Deion. I think it's not just this. I think to think that Deion is not going to be a constant presence for your team when Shedeur is there would be naive. And you have to be the right team to take that on. The Rams would be fine because they have Sean McVay is a very powerful coach. The Steelers would have been fine with Mike Tomlin. But for many of these teams who are a little more embattled, you cannot have Deion hanging around. It's just impossible.
See, the other reason why I think that the Sanderses messed this up is because when it was just about the Colorado tape and Colorado playing and Joe Schoen, the GM of the Giants, going to Colorado and scouting Shedeur so closely, all the rumors were he's going to be linked to the Giants.
Right.
It was only later in the process. We talked to Diana Rossini yesterday, who said this is a couple weeks now in the making. It's only later in the process that maybe they fell out of love with him. Doesn't it at least seem that way from the outside?
Yeah.
Like, when it was just about the football, they liked him. When it was maybe about something else, they didn't. And that's why I feel like either Shedeur maybe didn't come off great, or I don't know. Or maybe the Giants were so focused on Dart, the Ole Miss connections with Eli Manning, the coaching connections, they weren't looking clearly at this.
Well, I mean, Deion, he did say I'm going to pull an Eli, and he was very pro New York. Everyone said, oh, he wants to get him to New York. And Deion kept letting Joe Schoen into the building. They clearly were tight. So there was a good relationship there. He was trying, everyone kind of thought he was working him to the Giants. Or what was the other? There was one other team that Deion seemed to be focused in on. But at the end of the day, listen, Brian Daboll, he would have been fired in week 8 and bringing Deion. And I think they know that too. And I think there's just a lot. The Giants are sort of a shaky franchise right now. There's no way. Over the last 10 years, they have, is it the worst record or the second worst record? So I think bringing in Shedeur and ignoring Abdul Carter was impossible. They could not have. If they had taken Shedeur Sanders at number 3, that would have been such a big risk, especially because he wouldn't have started week 1. Russell Wilson probably would have, who was at the draft party for the Giants last night. They're trying to make that a thing. There's no way they could have done Shedeur. That was never going to happen.
No, but they could have traded back into the first round. That pick could have been Shedeur right there. I'm not saying 3. 3, you take Abdul Carter. That's fine.
Okay.
But they were choosing between Shedeur and Jackson Dart, and they chose Jackson Dart. And I think it's partly the Sanders' fault for that, because I think they misplayed this process.
Well, what about this idea out there that we've heard from some guests over the last couple months that Shedeur is just not that great a prospect? Are we ignoring that?
And Jackson Dart is?
Well, Jackson Dart's bigger. I think that for all the science in the NFL, they generally look at 2 guys and say, well, that guy's an inch taller, I'm going to take him. I just think, I know you say Bryce Young, and that's very true. But I do
Brian
think
Daboll, didn't he coach Tua at Alabama?
Possibly, but I'm just saying Jackson Dart is definitely bigger. I think that they looked at that and said, this guy's a little more solid.
A little more athletic. I'll give you that, and running around.
I don't know about more athletic, but he's definitely significantly bigger than Shedeur. Like, he's got a base. In fact, maybe too big.
888-710-4ISN. Yes, 888-710-4476. I heard that another Giants legendary quarterback did say that he was chubby. I
don't know if that was on air, but generally.
It was.
I just, I'm not sure.
They talked about it on air. So I feel comfortable saying
Okay,
that.
good. Yeah, no, Jackson Dart, even his face is like, whoa, you might want to mix in some salads in that training room.
Jeez.
No, I'm just kidding, but it's easy.
The guy's like 23 years old, man. It's probably still baby fat.
No, you got to pick apart every quarterback. That's what we do. One thing I hate about the NFL draft is everyone's so positive. It's like, this guy's a great fit. This guy's a great fit. When 65% of the picks last night are going to stink, and nobody knows it. So we can have a little fun.
Besides the big trade that Jacksonville made with Cleveland to get Travis Hunter and the Giants coming back into the first round, and then the Rams trading so that Atlanta could get James Pierce, it was kind of chalky, though. It was kind of a pretty conservative draft, I thought. Now, we'll talk about Ashton, Jeanty, the Raiders. We'll talk about Omarion Hampton going to the Chargers. There were a couple outliers, but.
Oh, I mean, it's the Philadelphia Eagles draft. Everyone's like, oh, the Eagles draft, nothing but O-line and D-line. We're going to do the same thing. Kind of boring, but you're right. Definitely chalky, except for the trade for 5-2. But the players were almost exactly what everyone thought.
Who did the Cowboys draft, Perloff?
Tyler Booker did.
The
inside lineman.
The interior offensive lineman you thought they were going to get?
Oh, that was so obvious. The way when Ted McMillan went number 8 to the Panthers, it's like, just give the guard to the Cowboys. Let's move on.
Actually, we'll have some Jerry sound for you a little bit later. What he had to say about, you said copycat league, everyone's copying the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, Cowboys are getting real serious about that. We'll tell you what we mean in just a little bit. But John is in Western New York, wants to talk about Shedeur Sanders. What you thought Shedeur got hurt himself how in this pre-draft process, John? Good morning.
Well, first off, he didn't participate in the combine. Secondly, when they timed him on his release, which a lot of people ignore, he's got a very slow release, which means that cornerbacks basically get a better jump on the receiver that he's targeting in on. So that we saw that in Pittsburgh with Mark Malone that turned out to be his Achilles heel, and Mark was a lot bigger than Shedeur Sanders was.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Malone from the 70s? Is that who you're talking about? Like the old, quarterback?
Wait a minute. I just want to clarify one thing.
Yeah.
I'm 70 years old.
Oh, okay.
I saw Willie Stargell play left field at Forbes Field when I was a kid. Okay?
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, but I just want to say that I'm glad the Steelers didn't take the bait. I'm not saying that Sanders will not make it. Maybe he'll find someone that wants him and find possibly a comfort zone and be happy. I don't think the Steelers wanted to bring along his father with him, and again with Pittsburgh, because they don't have a number 2 pick, they had to nail it on the number 1 pick. So it might have not been glamorous, but they got one. I believe they got one of the top 3 defensive linemen. So like I told you guys last week, when they gave up 299 yards to the Ravens, there definitely had to be a beefing of the defensive line, and I won't be surprised if they take another defensive lineman. And maybe later in the 4th round, there are 3 quarterbacks that I think they have their eye on, and I think that's their strategy.
Yep.
John, thank you. How many late round picks are you going to put in your quarterback room, though? Mason Rudolph, Skylar Thompson, and now you're going to take another flyer late round. We'll talk about Aaron Rodgers in a second, but Derrick Harmon, and we know for our fan base in Oregon and all those Ducks fans out there, they know him. You need to stop the run. Can I offer you 6'5", 315 pounds? Yeah.
I like that term John used, beefing the line. I like the verb to beef. It can mean many things. Anyway, that being said, it's a little boring. I also wonder if it was a little bit of a message to TJ Watt. Like, I think they're going to load up on D-line saying, like, because it is interesting, TJ Watt's age and that contract demand. It's floating
Instagram
around in Pittsburgh.
Post where he put sign up.
That's floating around in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a funny team because they've gotten kind of old. I said from the get-go, I think Shedeur was an awful fit for them. Just terrible. Arthur Smith, Shedeur's got to be Kirk Cousins. He's got to go to a high-octane offensive coordinator because he's very accurate. He's going to play point guard. Pittsburgh needs a Ben Roethlisberger, a guy who's going to go back there and be tough in the pocket and throw it 40 yards downfield. That's not what Shedeur is supposed to be. So I think people were squinting to see this. By the way, is there any way Shedeur lasts to the 3rd round for them?
Or
probably not, but
I don't know if they want to trade into the 2nd round. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens with the Steelers today. But meanwhile, a big question about what the Steelers are going to do at quarterback and about Aaron Rodgers. We got some new reporting yesterday about the latest. So we will get to that next. We will get to the Cowboys as well, what Jerry Jones had to say about taking yet another interior offensive lineman. Stop me if you've heard that one. And we've got so much more for you from the draft. 888-710-4ISN. It's the Maggie and Perloff Show.
I like the verb to beef.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes, up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam, just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. So welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Mags, I was on with Zach Gelb a little bit yesterday afternoon. A lot of fun.
I know, that looked great.
I described one major issue that you and I have, something that we just cannot see eye to eye on. It's been floating around for, I'd say, 5 months. Can you guess what it is?
Oh, gosh, there's so many things.
But this is the one that I think we argue about the most.
Whether or not Caddyshack 2 was funny?
No, because I'm sorry, you already lost that one. The big sports issue.
Oh, gosh, there's so many, though.
Tom Brady's impact on the Raiders is the one we will never see eye to eye.
No, we won't.
You think this is last night?
Disappointed he wasn't in the war room.
Following social
media.
Be honest. Maggie Gray on X. Tom Brady's first draft pick is a QB's best friend, an explosive running back who can catch the ball too. Okay, Tom Brady's first pick.
Tom Brady's first pick.
Yeah, Tom Brady's first pick. Oh, and he wasn't in the war room. And also, I could have sworn that both you and EJ said, well, Brady, I mean, the Raiders are doing things differently. They're not going to take the skill position player. They're going to build the trenches because Tom Brady's smart. So why is that Tom Brady's pick? And this is the single most Pete Carroll pick in the history of the world. The guy overdrafts running back every year without building his offensive line. It's what doomed him in Seattle. It's clearly what's going to doom him in the Raiders. So their offensive line is going to stink, and Ashton Jeanty might not get holes. I get it. I do agree with your point. Like, Ashton Jeanty should help Geno Smith. the quarterback of the Raiders. But I really worry that the offensive line is going to be bad, and that's going to cause some problems with the Raiders.
So it's kind of up in the air. There's a lot of people who think that the Raiders' offensive line is not that bad. So I'm not going to pretend to be Miss Offensive Line. We're all going to find out together.
Did you watch them last year?
No, I did, but they also had horrible quarterbacks back there, and there was no reason for anyone to respect their receivers either. Or the run game, they had 500 yards on the ground. It was just a mess totally on offense, which is why everyone got fired.
The run game is about the line as much as a running back. And I know they didn't have any running backs last year, but the line was, from everything I'm hearing, quite disappointing to the team.
They put some resources into it. We'll see if they can take a step forward. But I'm worried for Jeanty here. I am. I can't say that I'm excited to watch him at the next level.
Oh, he's the best.
And, the Barry Sanders comparison, yesterday, Louis Riddick was all about how he's like Emmitt Smith, but faster. And, I want
that's a nice
sky's the limit here, like for Ashton Jeanty, but I do worry about this pick because Ashton Jeanty, to me, would have been a better spot for the Bears, I think. And I think that would have been maybe a little more of his full, like, we're going to get the full Jeanty where maybe he's even part of a playoff run in year one and all of that. The Raiders still have so much to do to build this team. Right. I don't want Jeanty languishing on this team and just running into a wall at every place he plays. And it reminds me a little of the Giants in 2018 when they took Saquon Barkley. They had an end-of-the-line Eli Manning, which is kind of comparable, I think, to Geno Smith, where he is right now. It's like a good, not great quarterback. They did not have a great team around him, and they thought that Saquon was going to be the rising tide that lifts all the boats here, and he couldn't do it. I mean, won Rookie of the Year, but they never won anything. And I'm a little worried that Jeanty is being asked to do the same thing.
I understand what you're saying. I do think he's, probably the number 2 pick in fantasy football draft. He is going to get so much burn there. Pete Carroll does not want to throw the ball. So it is going to be the Ashton Jeanty show, and it's going to be super cool in that black uniform. You will give me that.
Oh, well,
as
everybody
fan,
looks cool.
I think the Raiders got interesting. I kind of agree with you. There is a Saquon feel. That's a good analogy because the rest of the team's not ready for him. But you cannot, one thing, you can't put Geno Smith in 3rd and 10. That is not Geno time. He'll give that one up. He'll cough that bad boy up. He's got to be in great passing situations. So I understand their thinking. Let's give Tom the rest of the draft. I just don't feel like there's any real impact. There's nothing Tom Brady about signing 34-year-old Geno Smith, who was Pete Carroll's quarterback, and then drafting a running back, which is a Pete Carroll modus operandi move. This is Pete Carroll's team. It's not Tom Brady's team.
I know. Well, I did miscalculate maybe one thing about Tom Brady. Tom Brady is definitely a wanted to be coached up guy. Right? This is why he worked with Belichick until it didn't, right? It worked for all those years because Brady would listen to coaches, not be afraid to be coached up hard. I think he really respects coaches and what they have to say. So
can't you just give it up that Tom Brady's a broadcaster who owns 5% of the team and is not running the show?
No, I think that he's letting Carroll kind of do his thing. But can I tell you, I don't know if this became a big enough story last night because it happened on social media. Not everybody has Twitter, and I get that because Twitter is a hellscape that I would not recommend to anybody. But Pete Carroll was on Twitter yesterday, starting an hour before the draft, dropping clues about who they were going to take, like a riddle. And I got to tell you, I don't know what Pete was smoking here because I could not figure out any of this.
82-year-old man discovers ayahuasca and social media.
I know he was at the Dead Show recently, but that's just awesome. Pete Carroll, here are the draft clues. Draft clues on the way. They're all gifts. The first is a scene from The Office where guys are pretending to have a shootout and then lowering their guns slowly.
Oh, epic scene. What an epic scene.
The next one, I'm sorry, that was just a gift. The first one is a scene from the new movie Sinners where Michael B. Jordan and another actor who I'm sorry I don't know are looking very nervously and scared out at the horizon. Okay. The second one is
big fan of Michael B. Jordan.
Is Snoop Dogg. Just a gif of Snoop Dogg taking his shades up and looking happy and high. The third one is Outkast, So Fresh and So Clean, a couple lyrics.
Okay. Gotta say the lyrics, Maggie.
I'm not rapping them, but it's about Teddy Pendergrass, cooler than Freddie Jackson, sipping a milkshake in a snowstorm.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Guys, that was like my high school. Oh my gosh, you have no idea. Anyway, draft clue number 4 is a scene from Ted Lasso.
Big fan.
And then 5 is John Cena holding up the belt.
Wait, sorry, you did say the Fresh Prince one, right?
The Fresh Prince was just, he said, clues are incoming, and it
Right.
was Fresh Prince with
And
the
everyone
magnifying
thought
glass.
that was the one they thought sealed it, that it was Calvin Banks, because the Fresh Prince, the Banks family.
Wow.
And everybody, Warren Sharp had it. Everybody was like, oh, they're taking Calvin Banks, who was mocked to them a lot. So that's what everybody thought it was done. And people were shocked. But I think they were taking Calvin Banks. And then the Jags traded out. And then the Browns somehow did not take Ashton Jeanty. So I don't know. I think that maybe something was going on there. Because, again, connect to any of this Ashton Jeanty.
These are obviously just random gifs. There's nothing to this.
But this is making me a little nervous about Pete Carroll. Like, what? Why?
I think this was part of the Raiders social media team probably said, hey, let's have some fun. Here's
like
5
silly.
random things. Just post it. And he was like, sure.
I don't believe you. I think there's something here.
Oh, no.
And they said
No chance there's any correlation to any of these things.
Then the last one is we're all fired up Raiders, and it's a Marshawn Lynch quote saying, eat my quesadillas. You're already going to compare him to Marshawn Lynch. Anyway, that was a little something silly that happened. John's in Vancouver. We'll get to Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers and what the Steelers may have said to Aaron Rodgers before the draft in just a moment. But, John, you had a bone to pick with the broadcast last night. What was it?
Well, it was just like, thanks, Maggie and Prof. Yeah, it was just the fact that, I don't know, the outdoor venue, like, I couldn't hear Rich Eisen in the panel dissecting the picks. And it was, like you could barely hear the, I don't remember the lady reporter who was interviewing the picks right after. You could kind of get it, but yeah, just a thumbs down to the outdoor venue. I just hope they go back indoors, whether, Radio City Music Hall in New York or any of that. If they visit other cities, just go indoors. That was my beef, though. Thanks,
John,
guys.
weren't you blown away by the image of that crowd? Was one of the most spectacular things I've ever seen. I couldn't believe how many people were there. It was crazy.
Yeah, no, that part, Andrew, that part was great. And I mean, with the sunset, that was spectacular. But I mean, when you kind of want to hear the panel go over the picks, that was so frustrating. Like, that's the thing I like to hear immediately. After the draft picks made, to hear what the panel has to say. And yeah, it was just that part was just I tried. It wasn't my TV, definitely.
Yeah. No, I get it, John. We'll pass it over to the audio engineers at the NFL Network. I get it, though. You want the broadcast to be seamless. Can we put this out as a poll question? Because you said that the images of the 200,000 people who showed up for the draft was spectacular.
Yeah.
When you look at a picture of a crowd like that, does that make you excited or give you anxiety?
Yeah, I was wondering how you get to the bathroom. That was the thought all night long.
Major anxiety looking in that crowd.
But are you willing to... I'm curious. I was actually thinking about this last night. Will you admit you were wrong about Green Bay as a venue? Or because I say it's definitely in the mix as the best thing ever. When they took Matthew Golden, that was like, what is this? Is awesome.
That was electric.
I mean, actually, every venue has been great, but I thought that this was a home run. I understand. I did not know about the audio issues. I could hear the NFL Network for some reason, but I thought this was like, wow, they hit a grand slam last night.
Well, all the Packers, I think, leaned in big time on the home field advantage here. None more, I should say, than Clay Matthews, who opened up the draft this way.
I just got off the phone with the president, Donald Trump. He asked me to pass a message along to all 32 NFL franchises. So let me tell you what it reads here, all right? It says, my fellow Americans, the Bears still suck!
McAfee has infiltrated all these guys. I feel like that would have been a McAfee move.
I'm sorry. Maybe this is controversial. I give that an A+++++. That was awesome.
My fellow Americans, the Bears still suck.
To set up a joke like that, oh my God, and to do it with Roger Goodell riding a bike 5 minutes before and making Goodell look kind of dumb. Everything about it. To do it, you do that and on a Tuesday on a show, you do it in front of all these fans. It was incredible. It was one of the best draft moments. It's definitely top 10 for me. Did anyone have a problem with it?
Fellow Americans, the Bears still suck!
I feel like you do this at like a Packers fan fest.
Yeah.
And he did it at the draft.
Number one, but he made the whole draft fun to me. Because rivalries are great. And you don't get too many of them anymore. They've been watered down by free agency. I I loved it. Did anybody have? But I know some people out there maybe had a problem with it.
I mean, I didn't have a problem with it. I wasn't sure where he was going. That was the first thing. He's like, I just got off with the president. I was like, this could really be going anywhere. And then to turn it into a troll of the Bears, it was just, I wish Clay could have given us the heads up on this when we talked to him yesterday, that he had something up his sleeve for the beginning of the draft. That would have been cool. He's like, guys, stay tuned. I got something planned. You know?
Well, did the commissioner know this was going to happen?
No, he apologized. He was apologizing as he was doing
Well,
it.
yeah, but the commissioner was laughing. Like, did they give any heads up that he was going to open a letter? Like, what was he supposed to say when he got up there?
I don't know.
They clearly gave him Mike. And, you know, they talked about before the show that now it's going to be a thing where every year Roger Goodell comes in and there's some sort of hoopla. With, you know, I think we had Lil Wayne up there, Eminem, riding a bike.
Yep.
Like, they're trying to make this a thing. Can we just talk real quick about your text last night about Roger Goodell, Bogusch?
Oh, the sneakers.
Yeah, like Goodell's trying to be cool.
Yeah. Well, somebody's trying to make Roger be cool. I'm guessing that wasn't his choice. That someone was like, you should wear these, Commish.
I mean, they were pretty plain. They're plain white sneakers.
Yeah, but that's like a young man's move to wear white sneakers with a suit.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's kind of stylish.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'm guilty of trying too hard sometimes to look younger and cool, but like there was no need for the all white sneakers and the navy blue suit on the 67-year-old Roger Goodell last night.
Oh, it was fine.
I didn't mind it.
I am literally wearing white shoes with navy all over.
And how old are you?
I am about 27, 28.
Okay.
I kind of get it. I'm with Bogusch. Like, Roger seemed like he was trying too hard last night. But by the way, he also feels very relaxed. Like, he knows he's got a couple more years. Going to go off the sunset with $1 billion.
I mean, how many millions do you need to have in the bank to finally feel comfortable?
And he's going to die on that stage. Someone's going to squeeze him too hard, too long.
One of those guys is too big.
Yeah.
Who's that guy you were talking about yesterday who stops the tush push?
Yeah. The tush push Terminator?
Yeah. I mean, thank God for Roger. He didn't go in the first round.
He's a third rounder. I don't know if they flew him to the Packers. And by the way, how'd you even get him there?
Yeah.
Airlift?
Some poor deputy commissioner. Oh, that's terrible.
Dang, girl.
He's 400 pounds. You guys all made jokes about it yesterday.
But we can still fly commercial. You're doing Dumbo drop on this guy.
Is that how you fly around with those big old feet of yours?
No, I just get a big running start, and then they just take me, like Mary Poppins style, just float
like
through
a
the
glider.
air.
But you don't have to buy 2 tickets.
Also, I can't wear white shoes. It's blind people. It's too big. Bogusch has headlines. We'll get back to Aaron Rodgers. Speaking of the tush push, Jerry Jones was talking about it yesterday. We got lots to do. Bogusch, fill us in on the latest.
As expected, Travis Hunter was the second pick last night in Green Bay. Not as expected, the Jaguars made that selection after trading next year's first plus second and fourth round picks this year to the Browns. The swap surprised basically everybody, including Hunter, kinda. Here's him with Kay Adams on Up and Adams.
I was super surprised, even though I went on Zillow last night and searched up some houses in Jacksonville.
Okay, wait, what?
Yeah, I did that last night.
What? Why?
I had a feeling.
Travis, are you joking with me right now?
No, if I had my iPad, I'll show you. I actually went on Zillow last night.
What gave you that feeling?
I don't know. I don't know. I just had a feeling that Jacksonville was going to try to, come get me.
He didn't find a house, by the way, but he did, I guess, find some property lakeside that he's interested in Jacksonville.
I'm seeing something nice that looks like 1.13 mil. They're having an open house on Sunday. Looks kind of centrally located. I don't know too much about Jacksonville real estate.
Some generational liars in this draft. Abdul Carter said that when he was 12 years old, he had a dream that he was selected by the Giants in the draft. Hogwash. You guys are lying. Everybody's lying here.
That's very specific. By the way, Travis Hunter probably has $25 million in the bank already. I think he can afford the 1.1. That guy's been getting paid to play football since 8th grade.
It's like a starter home for him.
Yeah,
this is most people's
starter
dream home.
4 bedrooms, 3 baths.
It's like dip your toe into the real estate world.
Yeah, he's gonna do just fine there.
I hate being poor.
Just be better at football, man. Duh.
Can we just admit that? Everyone here on the Travis Hunter personality train, that guy is so fun. Did you see him dancing in the pink suit?
No, yeah.
Oh, my God. He's so much fun. I don't know if fun makes it worth drafting him that high, but it sure seems pretty cool to me.
It does to me, man. I don't care what the price tag was. I can't believe the Browns didn't take him. I can't believe somebody passed on him.
I know. I think we're underplaying this because they got so much in return, but it is kind of crazy that the Browns let Travis Hunter go.
Okay, I get that, and they could forever be the team that passed on Travis Hunter, but I really believe that if they had taken him yesterday, I don't think their win total goes up at all because they need a quarterback. The Jags don't. The Jags have Trevor Lawrence. He's under contract. He's coming off an injury. But they're set. They can afford to do stuff like this. The Browns need a quarterback like yesterday. And now they at least, I don't know what they're going to do today. They got 2 picks in the first, 4 picks in the second round. But I think this is about next year and trying to get a quarterback next year.
I think Joe Flacco averages 350 yards a game next year. Honestly, I cannot wait to see him flinging around. I want to see him throwing to Hunter. Flacco, Stefanski, you never know. The problem is he'll throw about 3 balls a game to the other team as well.
I was like, can Hunter do a pick 6 off of Flacco? How does that work?
I just think this is hilarious. One thing about Perloff is always waiting for LeBron James to fall off the cliff.
Right.
Like age-wise. It's like, LeBron, there's no way he can keep this up. Joe Flacco played at least 50. Like, Joe Flacco, you have no concerns about age at all. LeBron James, you're waiting for him to walk in a wheelchair, in a walker or something like that.
Quarterback, you don't age it. Joe Flacco never could run fast or do anything anyway. He's the same guy. It's like
he was the other team's better quarterback the last time we saw him play in that playoff game.
Yeah, well, but then he was at Indy last year. But no, I think certain athletes, like Steph Curry, is never going to age because he was never athletic anyway. Now, LeBron is different. He needs a little more jump, and somehow he can still jump. Joe Flacco at 40 is the same as Joe Flacco at 28. What is the difference? I mean, you don't lose that arm. He couldn't move ever. And by the way, did anyone think Joe Flacco is going to win Comeback Player of the Year 2 years ago? No.
Well, that's because DeMar Hamlin got hosed.
Mackie definitely didn't think he was going to win it.
Regardless, he still won Comeback Player of the Year. Would you told me that was crazy at 38 for Joe Flacco? And then the other thing is, Cam Newton, all these quarterbacks are younger than we thought. Cam Newton's still 36. RG3 is 35. So
what? These dudes aren't 45?
No. Cam Newton's 36. RG3 is the one that gets me. He's been out of the... How old is he? He is 36, too. He's 36. He's 4 years younger than LeBron. He's been out of the league for 6 years.
I know. He's a broadcaster now and been a broadcaster for a minute. All right.
I don't know how we got on LeBron there, but
because you worried about him aging. Joe Flacco's got a lifetime contract right now.
I would say Joe Flacco should put $1 million into his body, but that's probably his yearly salary. I mean, he's probably Joe Flacco wasn't signing $20 million contracts.
Look at Joe Flacco's career earnings. He's doing he can afford that starter home in Jacksonville if he wants to retire right after this year.
Starter home in Cleveland now. Bogusch, we left you no time. We did nothing for you there. No
I got
favors.
a seat at least. I'm proper height at the moment.
At least you are
baby
steps.
He did get the white shoes takeout, which was very important to me. And the clear glasses. We might want to bring that up later. Jackson Dart wore clear glasses.
And I don't think they worked for our exact argument.
Oh, the dismay on Perloff's face.
Just like, the energy in the room just changed.
There were a lot of hot takes last night. This is the hottest. You're saying Jackson Dart's glasses didn't work?
I didn't like them. I didn't like them for the exact reason why my wife said that I shouldn't wear them.
Which is again?
My Irish complexion. You need the contrast of that's too. Everything's too pale, too light. It doesn't. I didn't think it worked for Jackson last night.
Maggie, you're a woman. You should have better fashion taste than us. Do you agree?
I thought it worked. He looked like a Logan Paul or something.
Okay. Maybe that's not my style.
Wow.
But I saw that. I was like, that's why I don't have them.
I mean, I thought the Atlanta trade was controversial. I thought the Jags Browns was a big deal. Yeah. Saying Jackson Dart's glasses didn't work.
Here you go.
No, I was in on the glasses. I thought he looked pretty cool.
That's my quarterback.
Bogus with all the...
And he's going to get those glasses knocked off his face by the Philadelphia Eagles. But he looks cool.
Good to see you, Maggie.
Next year, we have to have Bogusch review every fashion choice of the draft.
I'd love to.
Clear, and we should do that for NBA. Clearly, you have a lot of opinions here.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right, well, stick around. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. You guys, by the way, you're thinking to yourself of these fashion experts. You're actually missing out on the biggest fashion statement of the evening last night. You were not even close.
I mean, Travis Hunter's double-breasted pink suit was up there.
Yeah, that was cool, but that wasn't it.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about someone who took a real swing.
I'll shut up then.
Real fashion. We can get to that next. Also, Aaron Rodgers, an ultimatum. Has that been made? And we get to Jerry Jones. A lot to do. 888-710-4ISN.
Joe Flacco?
You're in a 5-minute break.
Now Bailey rode into town with suspicion in his eyes, saying Kaplan's got a secret and he's hiding it inside. Zach Jobs lost in darkness. Ryan Stream's a mess. Chevelle Wolf's just a spinning wheel. Oh Lord, what a distress. But Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright like a star in the desert on a Texas night. Daily says it's shady, but I swear on my name, I just push the buttons, I don't play no games. Now Peter Bellotti, well he don't show, and that man's supposed to be running this show. If there's a tech problem, don't look at me. Ask the guy who's missing more than Tennessee tea. So Davey, my friend, don't spread that lie. I ain't no bandit, I just make strings fly. But Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright like a star in the desert on a Texas night. Daily says it's shady, but I swear on my name, I just push the buttons, I don't play no games. Now Peter Bellotti, well he don't show, and that man's supposed to be running this show. If there's a tech problem, don't look at me. Ask the guy who's missing more than Tennessee tea. So, Daddy, my friend, don't spread that lie. I ain't no bandit, I just make strings fly. Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright like a star in the desert on a Texas night. Daily says it's shady, but I swear on my name, I just push the buttons, I don't play no games. Oh, don't play no games. Oh, babe, my friend, don't spread that lie. I ain't no bandit, I just make strings fly. Now Bailey rode into town with suspicion in his eyes, saying Kaplan's got a secret and he's hiding it inside. Zach Jobs lost in darkness. Ryan Stream's a mess. Chevelle Wolf's just a spinning wheel. Oh Lord, what a distress. But Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright like a star in the desert on a Texas night. Daily says it's shady, but I swear on my name, I just push the buttons, I don't play no games. Now Peter Bellotti, well he don't show, and that man's supposed to be running this show. If there's a tech problem, don't look at me. Ask the guy who's missing more than Tennessee tea. So Davey, my friend, don't spread that lie. I ain't no bandit, I just make strings fly.
30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Hyundai. The Hyundai Getaway Sales event is going on now. Get deals so right, it almost feels wrong, but don't wait. Visit your local Hyundai dealer today. Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. So much draft to break down. We want to hear from you. Did you like your team's pick?
Or hate it.
I love mine,
888-710-4ISN. We'll get to you later.
Yeah, and I loved yours, too. I think
We'll get to me later.
Yeah.
Let's get to London, though, who's in Chicago. We've been talking about the Shedeur Sanders, fell out of the first round. We'll see where he goes today. Listen, this could end up being the best thing that happened to him. He could go to a much better team. But I think the Sanders family botched the pre-draft process on a couple different levels. London, what do you think?
How you doing? First of all, I love the show, and I appreciate having the ability to speak. I disagree wholeheartedly. First of all, I'm already mad because of the Bears' disrespect last night, but hopefully we figure it out. But
the draft was in Green Bay. What did you expect?
Yeah, we got stabbed in the heart last night. but basically, I'll put it like this. You know, he fell out the first round, and they already had a lot of media coverage that this may happen. They were kind of priming everybody. I'll be honest, I think it's cowardice from these anonymous executives that do not want to put their name behind the indictments on this young man. That's number one. Number two, and you know, you can have the opinions on the football stuff. I won't get into that.
Yeah.
But my main thing is this. If, you know, he did they messed up on a lot of things, and you know, we try to be nice about it. I saw a lot of young men, if you're saying he's brash, he's arrogant, they all had jewelry on, all had different videos, the social media aspect. I'm saying, what did he specifically do to offend these people? Now, on the second part of this is this, and you know, I don't want to take it, you know, extremely left field, because I've been on Twitter all night with X, and I've seen a lot of comments from a lot of prominent people in, you know, sports, hip hop, you know, media, everything. Everybody has their opinion on this. But I'll tell you this, I'm seeing one constant, you know, thing. If Arch Manning has equal or stats that are subpar to this boy next year, and this don't happen, that's a problem. And, you know, I'm not trying to make it like that, but I'm just saying it's the same thing. Football family, you know,
famous,
you know,
involved,
you know, the
very
exactly.
involved.
So, exactly. So, you know, that's the thing. Now, I want to say this one last thing, and I appreciate it. I think it's sad that, because I saw Shannon Sharp on his draft. Podcast.
Careful with Shannon.
Yeah. Well, last night, you know, they had the draft thing with him and Ocho Cinco.
Okay.
And he said a statement, and he said, man, they got him. They got him. They got a hit piece of that, man, they got him. And I was like, what does that really mean? And, you know, we go on X and we analyze. And the whole thing is to say, oh, these anonymous sources that came with this media blitz, it worked. So my thing, like I said.
Hold on, though, London. I just want to respond to a couple of it, because I think you are making good points. The Arch Manning one is big, because I know we said this yesterday. We talked to Clay Matthews. That usually when your parents are professional athletes, that's generally looked at as a positive. Yet for Shedeur, it was looked at as a negative. Generally, when your dad is a coach, that's looked at as a positive. It was looked at as a negative with Deion and Shedeur. And I totally agree with you. But where I think they messed up the pre-draft process is I think they called their shot wanting to say, and they said, we're going to pull an Eli Manning, not realizing that that was going to turn some people off. If you say, I'm going to steer Shedeur to a city that I want him to go to, well, I think that turned people off. Two, it is anonymous executives, but
so that should affect Arch. If Eli, if Archie, if the I forget the older man, if he did it for his son, then they should still be mad, and it should affect the boy next year. Now I want to say this in conclusion, because I know I got to go.
Yeah.
Watching Deion Sanders' eldest son, Bucky's, his YouTube channel, and it kind of showed back at the house at the party.
Yeah.
And nobody was more mad. You could see it visibly in Deion Sanders. He would not stop looking at that. He knows.
Because, London, and you're making great points, I think that Deion also realized that I think they messed this up. Now, I don't know if Deion would ever admit that. And thank you for the call, London. Thank you for checking in, and don't be a stranger. But I think Deion realizes, because here's the thing about a media blitz that London's saying that was negative on Shedeur. Who has more access to the media than Deion Sanders to refute any of the negative stuff?
Well, I mean, that's part of the problem is Deion's on camera all the time. I think teams I think it's his visibility. By the way, none of that's happening to Arch. Arch is 6'4", 225 right now, and he's young and still growing. If Shedeur was 6'4", 225, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. I'm just telling you that's how it is.
If Shedeur played like Arch Manning, looked like had the measurables of Arch Manning.
Yeah, Arch Manning's a no-brainer. He's
he would have been 2.
Yes, of
1.
course. Shedeur is just a little too small, so he couldn't have any baggage. None. He had no room for error.
Interesting. 888-710-4ISN. It's the Maggie and Perloff Show.
Arch Manning.
You're in a 5-minute break.
He rode into town with suspicion in his eyes, saying Kaplan's got a secret and he's hiding it inside. Daly's in the chat, throwing up doubts, saying my street skills are playing.
When Nerdy King Perloff made a big old bed, said if I lose I'll go pay my debt. Texas bound, he claimed real loud, but that old Ford's still parked and proud. Kevin LaMelle's got brisket on the grill, Victor Wendy's dunking just for thrills, and he's back home, dodging that drive, talking about stats on a hard 9 to 5. He ain't never going down to San Antone, talk the talk, now he won't pick up the phone. Said Wimby was a bust, now he's got the crown, Rookie of the Year while Perloff's his town. Big words, no Rodgers, microphone moans. He ain't never going down to San Antone. And then there's Bill-Adi, oh bless his soul. WrestleMania hits, he crawls in a hole. No emails, no text, no I'll be late. Just a folding chair and a Ric Flair gate. Monday rolls in and Pete's MIA, still rewatching The Rock from 98. He's got a dream, and it ain't this show, just tag team belts and a stone cold flow. He ain't never showing up the day after the slam, he's playing hooky like it's part of the plan. Sipping cold brew in a luchador mask while the whole damn crew picks up his tasks. The lights gone with the WrestleMania tone, he ain't never coming in from parts unknown. So if you hear big bets or big loud talk, you best check their tires before that walk. Wimby's winning, LaMelle's grilling alone, and Perloff's still nerding on his microphone. Put in his stone, write it on a cone. He ain't never going down to San Antone. Wimby's got trophies and he's got excuses. When Nerdy King Perloff made a big old bed, said if I lose I'll go pay my debt.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All eyes were on the Pittsburgh Steelers last night. They were picking 21. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, and we thought, could this be it? Could this be the place where Shedeur Sanders lands, goes to Pittsburgh? Mike Tomlin, clearly a strong enough head coach, a entrenched enough head coach to not have to worry about any of the Deion stuff and Deion's celebrity having an impact. And we're waiting and we're waiting. And what happened? The Steelers went Steelers. They took Derrick Harmon from Oregon, the 6'5", 315-pound defensive lineman, and they needed someone who could stop the run or help them stop the run. This certainly works. But, Pearl, it does leave us with a lot of questions, including who is going to be playing quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, the GM said they're going to get 4 coming into camp, right? Yeah. So what does that mean? That means
they've got 2 right now.
They got 2. That means they draft somebody in the 4th round. Let's say Will Howard out of Ohio State, 4th or 5th round. That's fine, backup round. And then I think they bring in another veteran. I think that you could. I'm not totally ruling out Kirk Cousins, Carson Wentz, whatever. There's a bunch of old guys floating around. I don't hate it because I did not think Shedeur Sanders was going to work there. I don't think they could have supported Shedeur Sanders the way he needed to. I just thought that would not be a great fit. So I'm fine with Pittsburgh. Oh, and Aaron Rodgers too. I forgot about that.
Right. So let's get to.
Yeah. I was giving them Carson Wentz. Yeah, they could have Aaron Rodgers coming.
Well, let's talk about that, shall we? Josina Anderson, very plugged in newsbreaker. She said, I'm told the Steelers communicated with Aaron Rodgers at the beginning of the week that they would like to receive an answer from him before the draft, at least 48 hours, per league sources. And then she says this, Steelers know the outcome of that conversation. And that is, to me, how I read that, is Rodgers is coming. Now, listen, if you loved Shedeur or you love Jackson Dart or Milroe as the future of your program, then sure, you're going to take them with the first-round pick. But I don't think they love them as the future, clearly. Yep. They don't have a second-round pick unless they want to start trading up for one. So they're probably going to get closed out of Milroe and Shedeur.
I mean, Shedeur could be the number 1 pick tonight. So he could go 33 to Cleveland, and then they can't even trade up that high anyway.
And then it's over. So I think they know that Rodgers is coming, and I think Josina's saying that. Like, they finally had to put a little force Rodgers. I know he's going through stuff in his personal life, but they needed to nudge him a little bit. Like, hey, are we doing this? Or are we not doing it? And they feel like they've now bought themselves a year. That, to me, is what I saw and what I'm reading into her tweet.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the fact that they didn't take Shedeur says, right, because having Rodgers and Shedeur there wouldn't make sense. Because if you have Rodgers, you need as much talent around him as possible. You need that first-round pick. You need Derrick Harmon. You need to be sort of all in. But you're only getting, 1, maybe 2 years with Rodgers. You can't have Shedeur sitting there. For some reason, Pittsburgh's always a win-now team. There's no real building there to their detriment. I think it's hurting them. They try with Kenny Pickett, but it feels like Rodgers to me. I mean, I don't think we could get good odds on this right now. Because is there any other option for him? No. This is it, and I don't think he wants to retire.
And let's be honest, I don't know what the ceiling is for the Steelers with Rodgers at this point. Nobody can predict that. Could he have this great out-of-nowhere season? Possibly. Could they make it to the divisional round, maybe make it to the conference championship game? I don't know if they'd necessarily be a Super Bowl team. Weirder things have happened, for sure. But it has just, I think, buys them a little time because I think they didn't want to make the Kenny Pickett mistake all over again, which is we have this, we're mid-late first round. Yeah. We don't love the quarterbacks here. Yeah. Let's not force it. Here's Omar Khan, the GM, giving a pretty cold response to whether or not they were tempted at all to take a quarterback.
You pointed out to us on Tuesday, you only have 2 quarterbacks on the roster. You want to have 4 when you get to Latrobe. Were you at all tempted to go QB with only 1 guy off the board by the time you got up to 21?
You know, we were on the clock. We got the player that we wanted.
That's it. That's all you're getting. This is the Steelers' way. So, you know, we're not going to see them pick until the 3rd round now unless they, again, make a trade. But I think this means Rodgers is coming there. And, you know, honestly, after taking the temperature of Steelers fans, I know they're not thrilled about Rodgers because he comes in with a lot of baggage.
Yep.
However, I don't think they really wanted a reach quarterback either because you just lived through the Kenny Pickett experience. Shedeur would have been fun, would have been cool, palate cleanser, but I don't know if they wanted the, you know, trying to talk yourself into a guy that Perloff you never thought would have been a good fit with this offense anyway.
Absolutely. And Jeremy Fowler from ESPN reported the Steelers were looking at a 2-year draft window. They were eyeing the next 2 drafts, which they should. I think the best case scenario for the Steelers is Rodgers good for the next 2 years, and then they're in that killer draft of 2027. And who knows, they can move up and get, I think you might have another 6 quarterback draft in 2 years. You might have 4 next year. So there's a lot of opportunities. If you had drafted Shedeur, then you're tied to Shedeur for 5 years. So, I mean, theoretically, if he's any good, you're definitely going to have him there. I like where they're going because there's no risk with Rodgers. If it doesn't work, what's the problem? Maybe, I mean, if it's terrible, that's the best thing that could happen. They go 4-13 and maybe get a shot at a quarterback finally.
Here's the only way it maybe backfires if, and this is a big if ownership is tiring of Tomlin.
Well, is that a backfire? For Steelers fans, I'd be thrilled with that.
Get a new coach?
Yeah, I mean, we had this argument where I said, I think Mike Tomlin has a lifetime pass. You disagreed with me. And a Steelers blog picked up that take and said it was you who said it. And the vitriol.
I know.
People said, how can Maggie say he's got a lifetime pass? He's killing this franchise.
It's like, I didn't. Perloff did.
But the point was the Steelers fans do not.
On him.
They want him gone. They do not want to be 9-8 for the next 5 years. They want something radical. Feel like Rodgers fits the bill.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. So you're welcome to weigh in now on the Steelers, the strategy. And I'm wondering if there was a possibility for the Steelers to have been the team that traded with the Falcons. Like the Falcons traded with the Rams and got a future first-round pick. I wonder if maybe the Steelers could have said, maybe we'll let you come if you want to get James Pierce, but I don't know.
Diana Rossini said yesterday they were trying to trade out that pick. That's, by the way, then when she said that, it must have been, what time was she on? 9 a.m. Or she was on early. I was like, oh, that's the first time I'm like, oh, they're not taking Shedeur. Yeah. If they're trying to trade out, this is not happening. So actually, let me move it forward for a second. Cleveland sits with the first pick of the 2nd round. Is that Shedeur?
Well, they not only have the first pick, they've got 2 of the first 4 picks now because of the trade that they made with Jacksonville. And if you're just tuning in, if you're just getting caught up on what happened last night, the draft starts with Cam Ward going number 1, and then boom, blockbuster trade. Jacksonville comes up from 5 to 2 to get Travis Hunter. They traded a boatload of picks for it, though. They swapped 5, 36, so that's the 4th pick in the 2nd round, a 4th round pick, and then next year's 1st round pick. And that's the one we think is really, really valuable because people like that class better than this class.
But it's a really interesting debate that I'm sure Pittsburgh went over in their head too. If Cleveland wants to wait until next year's class or the year after it, then they can't take Shedeur at 33 tonight. I mean, they...
No, I don't think they are.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
really
know.
interesting. Or also the Tyler Shuck they reportedly like too.
That's true.
At that 30s. I don't know. But I don't know. Can you take a 2nd round quarterback and then still get in next year?
I don't think so.
I don't think next year's class is that great. I keep saying that. I mean, you really you watched Drew Aller this year. Are you waiting on a quarterback for Drew Aller?
Well, but he's coming back, so we're going to get another year of development and all of that. Anyway,
Can he pull? Anyway, yeah, I just don't think. I think it's a fantasy to say next year's class could be so great. So I think Cleveland right now is sitting pouring over tape of Kate Klubnik, Drew Aller, Garrett Nussmeier, and they are wondering. I'm pushing this too far, but this is a big picture debate. If we take a quarterback right now, and the Steelers had it too, are we getting boxing ourselves out of next year's class?
Well, the New York Giants clearly didn't have to worry about that calculus or they don't care because they were the team, the only team that traded back into the 1st round to take a quarterback. And it was not Shedeur Sanders, who fell out of the 1st round. That's the other headline from last night. They took Jackson Dart from Ole Miss. And do you want to play this now or do you want to save it? Okay. So obviously we're here in New York City. The Giants have been just in the crosshairs for many, many years. But this was interesting because they had the 3rd overall pick where they took Abdul Carter, the standout pass rusher from Penn State. And then they did trade back in to get Jackson Dart. Our pal Greg Giannotti, Gio, not a fan of Jackson Dart apparently. Caller calls into WFAN this morning, and this happened.
You've done nothing but rip the Giants since 6 o'clock this morning.
Okay.
How many Ole Miss games have you actually watched all year? Okay,
I've sat there and watched how many.
No. If the Giants like a quarterback, you go out and get him, Gio.
Okay, Mike. Hey, listen to me. Hold on for a second.
Hold
on a second. For God's sakes, I'll talk to you.
Okay, there's more. This is so New York. There's more.
How many Ole Miss games did John Gruden watch of Jackson Dart? And I'll tell you right now, he thinks he stinks.
How many times have you watched him play?
How many times have you watched him play, Mike?
More than you.
How many times have you watched him play? How many times? Seriously. You're a Giants fan, so you're going to off every one of their picks. He's from Ole Miss like Eli. You're probably one of those sickos who sat there and defended Daniel Jones for 6 freaking years.
I can't believe there's more to this. Is Gio alive? Can we go check on him? Go ahead.
He's a pudgy Utah clapper. How many games at Ole Miss? I don't need to watch any games at Ole Miss. How many games at BYU did I watch Zach Wilson play? 0, and I knew he was going to suck. And he did.
NFL draft passion.
Gio.
Oh, wow. You know what's funny about this? The pudgy Jackson Dart thing, which is Phil Simms said it. Pearl, you're usually the body shame police. You're the one who calls people pudgy, including LeBron James at one point, which we all laughed at you.
I figured he did a shirtless ad in the middle of summer when he wasn't in game shape. He looks way better now. Jackson Dart's face looks a little puffy. I
pudgy Utah clapper.
But by the way, John Gruden probably watched every Ole Miss game. That threw me off. Like, that's his.
No, John Gruden did a quarterback film room thing with Jackson Dart, and he asked him, okay, what's like your cadence? And what's your cadence like? And Jackson Dart goes, all right, I'll show you my cadence. And he goes, stands up and he goes, that was it.
That's my Super Bowl winning quarterback right there, baby.
And then Gruden goes, well, did you have any like dummy calls or anything like that? And he goes, yeah, we did have a dummy call. He goes, all right, what was the dummy call? And Jackson Dart goes, Gruden's like, are you serious? So
pudgy Utah clapper.
Listen, this is more of the, well, that's funny from Gio. This is the real thing about the offense that Lane Kiffin was running. And a lot of these, some of these college offenses are so far from the pro style. And Tom Brady ripped it and says it's too simple and it's not about, developing and all that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of draft people made the same exact mistake with Matt Corral 2 years ago. I was like, oh, Matt Corral probably, if he didn't have off-the-field problems, would have been 25th pick because he was killing it in Lane's offense. So, yeah, this is definitely a thing. I just think the one thing that's good for the Giants fans, if you're at 25, you can get back in on Arch next year. No problem. Or 2 years from now.
Quarterback, dude.
But 25, I think smart teams are really – they're totally willing to move on. I mean, the famous one was the Cardinals took Josh Rosen at 10 and then went Kyler Murray the next year.
That's because they ended up being so bad they got the number 1 overall pick and everyone got fired.
Giants are definitely, I would say, in the mix for the number 1 pick next year, wouldn't you say? They're probably they're bottom 5.
Abdul Carter, I think people believe that defensive line's going to be really good.
I think they're bottom 5 in win total. I would imagine. I mean, they could 2 years ago they surprised everyone and were 9-7-1. They are definitely in the mix for number 1 next year.
But here's the thing: if the Giants are not sold on Jackson Dart and giving him a real shot to be their franchise quarterback, why did you trade back into the first round? Why are you doing this?
I think they are, but I don't think this and you didn't have to give up much. I don't think this totally knocks you out of the Arch running. If for some reason it doesn't work out, I think Arch comes out in 2 years and you're sitting there at number 1. If it doesn't work out, it means they're bad.
Right.
Then at least you're not at the 25th pick. You're not killing yourself to get. If they take him 3rd, it would be a totally different discussion.
Sure.
Then we'd be like, oh my God, the Giants are doomed for life if you don't like Jackson Dart. Now they got him at 25. I mean, come on. It's 25 quarterbacks. It's kind of like Brady Quinn territory. If it works out great, it's a bit of a shot.
Well, Brady Quinn is thought of as, I like him personally, but he's thought of as a bust. I think that, did we say that about Kenny Pickett, though? When he was taken 21 by the Steelers, I think we thought, all right, he's going to be the next franchise guy. I don't know why it'd be any different for the Giants.
Well, yeah, and look what the Steelers did. They moved on immediately, and it didn't really kill them. I mean,
it's killing them.
It's not really killing them, though. I mean, who would they? They probably would have taken a lineman.
Any other head coach would have gotten fired over that.
Over Kenny?
Yes.
I mean, listen.
The offensive coordinator got fired. Any other head coach would have gotten fired.
I did
for that kind of miss.
I tweeted out a list of, quarterbacks rarely go in the 20s. It's just not a spot. If you like them, you have to take them higher. But it never, except for the Packers, it never ever works out. Usually it's bad news because there's a reason. Here are the guys who went in the 20s. It was Kenny Pickett. They moved on almost immediately. Jordan Love was good. Paxton Lynch, they moved on immediately.
Yep.
Johnny Manziel, they moved on really fast. Manziel only got 2 years, they moved on. So, it hurts. Brandon Weeden, they moved on. Tebow, they moved on. In 2 years, they got Peyton Manning. I think you can rebuild fast as long as you don't give up the 3 pick. So, honestly, say you don't like Jackson Dart. Are you panicking if you're a Giants fan? You're probably like, might as well take a shot. That's how I would say.
Listen, I don't know. We have Giants fans here. We can ask them, but the coach and the GM will be gone. So, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah,
right, but they're going to be gone anyway.
Well, so this did mean something. It's not happening and you take a flyer on a guy, you put him in the first round. I think people in the building expect that you're going to give him a real shot.
Yeah, he'll get a shot.
And they want him to really pan out.
But if it doesn't work out, it's not a killer.
For the front office and the coach, it
right,
will
but
be.
I'm talking about, who cares about those guys? I'm saying for the team. Here's the question. I think
it's
a lot of
failed quarterback now.
Yeah, but they could still get back in on Arch. If this fails, it really means nothing in the big picture for them. It's basically
Gio.
25.
Okay, Mike.
He's basically a second-round pick.
Are you feeling that way, Manny?
Yeah.
Or you feel, as a Giants fan, do you feel like this is just gravy about Jackson Dart, or do you have actual expectations that at some point he's going to be your franchise quarterback?
As of right now, I have the expectation that he is going to be the franchise quarterback. I mean, you take a look at Dable and the position that he's in, and Shane, I mean, this is the big swing that he has to take in order to save his behind. So, I mean, in Dable, we trust. What other choice do we have? We have to ride with Jackson Dart over the next 5 years, if it doesn't work out. But again, if it doesn't work out the way that you say, Pearl, I'm down with that as well. Get rid of him, offload him, a la Josh Rosen, and, start anew and hopefully get that Ark Manning kid.
Yeah,
I've heard a few things about him.
It's so funny how many teams are like, well, Arch is going to be there for us. Arch can only get drafted by one team, and there are currently 7 teams that are planning to draft him.
Ark Manning.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. So obviously tensions are running a little high here in New York.
Pudgy Utah Clapper.
I don't know what Utah has anything to do with it. We see people come from all over the place. Some do well in big cities, some do poorly in big cities. I don't know. It's possible. I don't think him being from Utah is going to matter.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really make it in L.A.
Well, that's because Caleb Williams came with Lincoln Riley.
Well, there was a lot. I don't think he won the job the first year too.
He sat behind. I think he didn't win the job. He beat out Miller Moss, and then I believe he was behind Keaton Slovis.
Right.
And then Clay Helton got fired. Lincoln Riley came in, brought Caleb Williams, who won the Heisman that year. And according to Dart, he did not want to transfer. He felt like he was forced to.
Yeah,
I can't blame him for that. Then he became a 3-year starter at Ole Miss.
He's been a big deal forever. I don't think that Utah.
He's a huge guy.
Yeah, he's Gatorade Player of the Year. That is not a concern. I don't know what Utah has to do with anything. By the way, and now the number isn't. The number 1 pick in the NBA next year is going to be from Utah, AJ Dibbitt.
He's not from Utah.
Yeah, he's playing in Utah, though. But he's basically living in Salt Lake City. I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I just wonder if people think where you're from has any indication on how you're going to be somewhere else.
I can say, this New York market thing is such a ridiculous myth because I've been to the Meadowlands. There's nothing Manhattan about New Jersey. You could be in Green Bay.
About the media attention.
Yeah, who cares? It's the NFL. Every team... for one thing, you were definitely getting the B crew. You'll be the 5th game on Fox at 1 p.m. every day. You can totally hide.
No, it's about the other stuff.
I love hiding.
It's about the fishbowl of it, not about who's calling your games on Fox.
The fans, and they turn on you quick. There's a lot of things to go into.
Right, but you're definitely the lowest of the low I mean, you're definitely like the most irrelevant team.
Yeah, we're definitely we're not the Commanders of last year.
Schrager said like he thought they might take Shedeur because the Mariners are so sick of being irrelevant. But
I think the one difference though is I think this is different for Dart because they passed on Shedeur. So this idea that he can kind of fly under the radar, I think that's gone now.
Yeah,
and
but
because
Shedeur,
the Giants were so not public, but they went through back channels to say, hey, that other guy is a loser and we don't like him. Like they went so far above and beyond to talk about Shedeur that I think now everyone's like, all right, Jackson Dart, like, you better be nice, bro. Because if you go out there and you look like Daniel Jones or Matt Corral, like, then that's going to be concerning.
Well, worse if Shedeur goes somewhere better.
And plays great.
And plays well.
Right.
Like, if Shedeur ends up falling, well, he has fallen out of the first round. Yeah. If somehow he does become Matt Stafford's backup or something where it looks like, wow, he landed in an awesome spot, that's going to make Jackson Dart look worse. I agree with EJ.
Totally disagree. The market said he's not a first rounder. The fact that he fell the second round saved the Giants bacon in this sense. If the Rams, actually, if some team had traded up to get Shedeur, then they'd compare the two. But obviously, teams don't like him. He fell the second round, so that I think that gives them cover.
Well, but if a franchise that's deemed to be better and smarter than the Giants takes Shedeur, it's going to immediately put more of the spotlight, I think, on Dart.
No, I mean,
and then we'll see how they
the Giants could have also maybe waited and got Shedeur in the second round. Like that's the thing. It's not just because they traded up to get another quarterback.
They were sitting there as 25, which they could have taken Shedeur right there.
They actively passed.
Yeah, but no, if Shedeur's a backup next year, that's not going to hurt Jackson Dart. If he goes to a good team, then he'll be a backup. And if he goes to a bad team, which I think he's going to Cleveland possibly. Well, that's not going to hurt Jackson Dart. That's going to help Jackson Dart.
Well, but they're linked, I think is what EJ is saying. They're linked, and if Shedeur looks better and Dart doesn't look good, which could very well happen, by the way, because the Giants are not a good football team, and for a lot of other reasons, fans are going to be like, you passed on Shedeur for this bum. Like, that's going to happen.
But I think the NFL clearly viewed Dart ahead of Shedeur because I think the Giants knew the Saints were thinking the same thing. Why did they trade up to 25? It must have been because the Saints, the teams know what other teams are going to do. It must have been that the Saints were coming back, too.
We will get into the why of Shedeur falling. 888-710-4ISN. 888-710-4476. What did happen? How did Jackson Dart jump Shedeur Sanders in this evaluation? I've got theories. Doling out a little blame. Got that to do. Tell us what you think of your team's draft, guys. We're going to try to get to everybody, but we want to hear from you. You can listen to us on SiriusXM channel 375. You can also listen to us on the free Odyssey app. We are streaming live, youtube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network. Also on X at Maggie Gray, where Perloff and I are indeed matching today, which is always a little scary. We're sharing a brain at this point.
You didn't seem very happy when you saw Perloff's outfit today.
Well, I don't usually wear sweatshirts, so
that was
my bad.
We both have this odd shade of bluish purple that neither of us ever wear, and we happen to pick the same things out of the closet.
I've never seen either you wear any of the things you're wearing.
I know.
Now.
Like, it's not good, guys. Yeah. Like we're spending, I can't say too much time together, but like something's happening here. Well, we're melding into one person.
I wanted to seem objective today and did not wear my Eagles hat or green. I wanted to see like I'm not seeing this all through Eagles colored glasses, and I thought you would be wearing Bills stuff today because you got a nice cornerback and everything's working out.
Yeah. Okay. We'll get to Shedeur. Why did he fall? I've got theories. I've got blame to give out. All of that. It's the Maggie and Perloff Show.
Okay, Mike.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Go ahead.
You ready?
Yeah. No, I want to hear the snap count.
Yeah.
Really? Every time?
Every time.
Do you have like a dummy clap or anything?
Yeah, we call it purple.
What's that? No.
Yeah.
For 3 years, you've been clapping.
He's a pudgy Utah clapper.
It's gonna be a good day with Maggie and Perloff.
Oh, boy.
Welcome back, Maggie Perloff. Of course, that was Jackson Dart.
Of course.
With John Gruden.
Yeah, with John Gruden and then our own Gio at WFAN in New York ripping the pick. It's so funny. I'm kind of into New York ripping the pick because generally New York doesn't read the room right when it comes to football.
You're saying that maybe this could be the best thing that ever happened to Jackson Dart?
Of all the fan bases, they're not one that usually nails it when it comes to the pigskin. They're pretty good at baseball. The Knicks look all right, but generally they're always wrong about football.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think this is just a New York thing. I think when your franchise has been bad at this for a little bit, you start to see some warning signs. So this is not just New York. I think you're seeing a little it's not the same as Daniel Jones, but you're starting to get a little worried that, whether it's a different regime, no matter what it is, you've just been a little snake bitten here with trying to find QBs.
I do think there's a little New York-y to it because New York, because it's such a big market, there's so much pressure. You always do the short-term answer. And that's why New York, the Giants and the Jets are consistently. That's why you haven't had a title here in 500 seasons.
The Jets were actively tanking for Trevor Lawrence. They just messed it up, and they've got Zach Wilson.
But generally, I think there's a reason all the New York sports are bad. I think they run into the same problems again. All the teams. I don't think, and actually isn't it amazing that the Jets and Giants are the bottom 2 of 3 teams the last 15 years, and they both play in the same city?
I mean, it's not amazing if you watch how they operate for very different reasons.
Get him out.
Listen, his team won a Super Bowl, so now
back
he can
on vacation.
say
No, it's
whatever
just
he
weird
wants.
to me that the Giants and Jets are parallel bad for this last decade.
Well, this hurts the Giants fans because they used to be able to push Jets around like little brother, but now they find themselves like right there with them. So it's tough. Listen, I rooted for a team that stunk for 20 years. It's hard. Adrian is in Maryland. We're talking about Shedeur Sanders and why he fell out of the first round. Adrian, what do you think?
Hey, guys, thanks for taking my call. He fell because he's supposed to fall. He's a second rounder. The measurables says that. Everything around him says that. Also, I don't know what telecast you guys were watching. Mel Kiper needs a Shedeur car flag on his car. My God,
they're going to say Shedeur cleansing.
Yeah.
An exorcism.
The telecast on ESPN, they showed the highlights like Shedeur was the number 1 pick. They disrespected Cam Ward so much on that telecast. I was mad. I want to turn the channel so bad. It's just crazy. Cam Ward should boycott ESPN. Just the way they made him look. Like I said, it looked like Shedeur was the number 1 draft pick. If you didn't know anything about football and just tuned into that, you'd be like, "Oh, Shedeur's the number one draft pick and the quarterback of the NFL." It was crazy. But my Cowboys, I like their pick up the middle. They're going to be strong. Maybe move Tyler over to tackle and Guyton back to guard where he's familiar with. So we'll see from there.
True.
Adrian, thank you. See, here's the thing. I don't want to seem like I'm just covering for like another network or something, but here's the thing about the draft, like everything that's on TV, it's a TV show. So yeah, I get it. People are maybe a little turned off that Cam Ward is on the clock and they're showing Shedeur Sanders highlights. It's a television show. They're doing a different thing.
Get out of here. This is a Mel Kiper's off his rocker. There's no excuse for this. That was insane the way that they covered Shedeur. And by the way, I'll tell you one thing. Nick Saban, I forgot they were on. We didn't even talk about that set.
If you had
he
taken
loves some Cam Ward, which made me really excited for Tennessee. He explained in like 5 minutes. He's like, "This is what Cam Ward does well." I was like, "How come none of the other networks are talking about that? Why are they on Shedeur?"
If you had taken a shot for every time Nick Saban said this guy, you'd be face down in a ditch right now.
Let's watch it then, boys.
You'd be in a coma. I mean, it's a crutch, that he didn't say anybody's name. This guy, and all of a sudden you'd just be puking in the toilet.
I loved it though. I like the colloquialness of it. Like,
here's a guy.
Yeah, just like, oh, this guy I've been watching. This guy's great. Like, he doesn't.
Here's number 1.
Yeah, he doesn't know any of these players on other teams aren't
Here's
Alabama.
a guy.
What was he on? Because when I got home, I threw on ABC by accident. I was like, oh, never mind. I went to NFL Network and never moved. So what was Saban on?
ABC. But I don't know. Was he there the whole night? I don't
think he was on the main set.
Yeah, he was on a separate set with Herb Street, wasn't he?
Okay, I didn't see either one of them.
What's up with that?
I felt like he disappeared after a certain time. Like
well, he's old.
Yeah, maybe
he's a landlord.
Contractually obligated to do picks 1 through 10.
How long was it on ABC too? I'm not totally sure because I got caught up. Maybe they didn't have. Did they have the whole night?
Yeah,
I think they did. Yeah,
they did
had the whole first round until 11:45.
You mentioned Saban not being there very long. I mean, when the SVP hit, he did. It was
I
still light outside, so he did that. He did that right after that pick was made.
So did he go to McAfee?
Yeah, I think he was on McAfee at one point. Yeah.
Did they blow through the local news for the draft on ABC?
Yeah.
I don't really. Okay.
I don't know.
There were so many because I also got into the McAfee thing on my computer because our buddy Peter Schrager was there. It was amazing. He's probably the best voice all of last night. So there's a lot of ways to watch this draft and the Athletic Show with Diana Rossini. Yeah.
I was not expecting Mike McCarthy to make an appearance, but I should have known Green Bay. You know, obviously he's got a street named after him there.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Mike's looking like Big Mike. There's also a
Maggie's
video
on one this morning.
circulating.
Look out, folks.
Wow.
Dude.
Everybody have some veggies.
You saw
They're
Pat
overweight.
McAfee took a little puff, and I was like, hey, Mike, want some? Mike's like, I'm good.
He's definitely smart. McAfee's taking a puff off a vape pen in the middle of the broadcast and then offers it to head coach Mike McCarthy. What do we think was going to happen? He says no thanks, and then McAfee throws the vape pen into the crowd.
Do you think if
Man of the people.
That sounds like a felony.
If McCarthy would have taken that puff, you think he never gets an NFL job again?
Why? I think he's actually more likely to get a job. I don't know. He's not getting a job now, unfortunately. I don't think he's a terrible coach, but we did that discussion for 5 years with the Cowboys.
Feels like he's gotten his shots. He might be done.
Speaking of the Cowboys, we will get to them not only drafting Tyler Booker, but Jerry Jones on a very specific reason why they wanted this particular person. So we'll get to that in a moment. Bogusch has headlines.
Guys, the under for QBs taken in round 1 hit last night. Just 2, Cam Ward, but not Shedeur Sanders. The Giants coming back into the round at number 25 to go with Jackson Dart, leaving Sanders available moving towards round 2 tonight in Green Bay. Just as many running backs and tight ends were picked as quarterbacks. Ashton Jeanty to the Raiders, Omari and Hampton to the Chargers, and Colston Loveland to the Bears, Tyler Warren to the Colts. Jeanty telling Westwood One after being picked number 6, he is ready for Vegas.
Max Crosby hit me yesterday. He said, man, I'm excited to be, possibly going to war with you, and, I'm ready to go to war with everybody over there.
Running back Trevion Henderson, one of the best available here in day 2. The Clippers are 1 for 1 in the postseason in their new building.
Hornet feeds it for Zoo. Left block Batum. Left corner Kawhi. Open for 3. Buries it. Leonard laces the triple, and the Clippers up 23. 103 to 80.
Carlo Jimenez on Clippers Radio. Kawhi scored 21. 20 apiece for Harden and Norm Powell. L.A. ran away from Denver for a 117-83 win and a 2-1 series lead.
Did you see what they gave out? Oh, Manny, you sent this to the
I did. I sent it to the group chat. Yeah, they had some horse heads to put on their head when Nikola was at the free throw line for the wall at the Clippers game. It was
looks like it may have worked. I don't know what Jokic went from the line, but they blew him out. So
I really like the wall.
Me too.
It's like the Clippers, they've found something with that. That's cool.
The Knicks, survived Game 3 in Detroit, 118-116 for a 2-1 lead there. And the Thunder set up to sweep the Grizzlies now after a huge Game 3 rally, down 29 in the second quarter. OKC won in Memphis, 114-108. The Grizzly collapse, including Ja Morant crashing to the floor on a second quarter layup, not returning with a bruised hip. So second straight night, a guy accidentally-ish gets undercut in the air and can't finish a huge game.
This one was scary because it was the second fast break that had happened, right? So Lou Dort, I think, is trying to do anything he possibly can to stop this because they look like they were getting run out of the building because the Grizzlies were up by 27, I think, at this point. Something like that?
Yeah, 26, 27. I mean, this is the very early stages of them falling apart.
Yeah, I mean, the Grizzlies scored 40 points in the first quarter. Yeah. They came ready to play in this game, and Dort just, I don't think it was a dirty play. I don't think it was on purpose, but he was certainly trying to get in the way. I was a little surprised there wasn't a scuffle on the court after that, by the way.
Are we calling him soft too, like Jimmy Butler?
Crossed my mind.
Okay. Butler, by the way, reportedly has a deep glute muscle contusion.
Oh, my God.
That apparently, according to ESPN, is best case diagnosis, but it still leaves him in real jeopardy of missing Game 3 of this series with the Rockets.
Can you say again what it was?
Deep glute muscle contusion.
Yeah. He has a bruised butt. He's got a deep bruise in his butt.
You stepped on Maggie's joke.
No, I'm sorry, Maggie. I'm sorry.
She wanted to say the A word.
This is what it is.
Yeah. That's factually true.
It is factually true. Deep glute bruise.
Just get one of those hyper ices, work on this.
A Theragun?
A Theragun, yeah.
I'm sure the Warriors, a world-class medical team does not know about the medical.
I mean,
fire up the Skates pool.
I don't even know who it was for, but did Charles Barkley offer his medical assistance as well? He said shoot him up with Toradol, and then
yes.
then it devolved. I think they were talking about Jimmy Butler. Then it devolved into blue pills for everybody.
No, specifically for Kenny Smith, which I don't think America really needed to know whether that was an issue for Kenny.
What about McAfee's vape?
But Charles, actually, for some reason, Charles goes, "Hey, I'll get him some Toradol." I'm like, "You what?
You got a guy?"
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in reality, he fell on his butt. He's a pain in the ass, as Maggie says. Give him a shot and get him on the court. What are we doing here?
Give him a shot.
Why
in
are
the
we even
ass.
talking about this? Give him a cortisone shot and let's play.
We got
He's an idiot and a fool.
We got playoff hockey last night as well. Overtime in Ottawa.
The Leafs win the draw. Shot by Benoit, scores! Benoit! Holy Mackinac of all people! He sets up the winner in Game 2. He wins Game 3. Simon Benoit!
That's the great Joe Bowen on Leafs Radio. Toronto getting a 3-2 win in Ottawa for a 3-0 lead on the Sens. The Panthers took a 2-0 lead on the Lightning with a 2-0 win in Tampa. They Wild up 2-1 on the Golden Knights after a 5-2 home victory, and the Blues hammered the Jets 7-2 to avoid an 0-3 hole. The Tampa Bay Rays win in extras in Arizona for the second straight night, this time 7-4 in 10. And Messi and Inter Miami 2-0 losers at the Vancouver Whitecaps in the first leg of their CONCACAF Champions Cup semifinal. They play again Wednesday night in Florida, which will allow us to again explain aggregate scoring to Perloff, I'm sure.
Excited about
Can't
that.
wait
Quickly,
that.
I want to get to Russ, who's in California. Russ, big Raider fan, but you are not thrilled about the selection of Ashton Jeanty. Why not?
Good morning, guys. He's a good running back, but I felt that we needed either a D-line or an O-lineman, especially an O-lineman, with our track record on having our quarterbacks on the loose all the time. I think we could have got Travion Henderson second round, because I think Henderson's a much better all-around back. More importantly, can pick up the blitz. That's my take on that.
Yeah. Russ, sorry, your connection's not that great, but I want to tell people what you're saying if you're coming in a little bit low there. Kind of looking at Jeanty as a little bit of a luxury pick. He's obviously a huge offensive weapon because he could run the ball and he's a good pass catcher, but he's not great in pass protection, or is at least not great now. He could become better at that. Saquon Barkley got better at that. Yeah. And I think that, and what Russ was saying is Travion Henderson could have been a second-round pick who he thinks is a better all-around back.
They pick 37th tonight, 5th pick in the second round. I don't know that first of all, I don't know that Travion Henderson is there. Could easily go in these first 5 picks. I don't know if they knew Henderson was going to be available. It was funny. The Broncos were linked to a running back. They passed, and then the Chargers jumped on Omarion Hampton. So you never know. You can't plan that out. I agree. I think this was an Armand Membu spot, which I guess the Raiders, I think I saw them say that, we did debate this. Should we go O-line or running back? Jeanty's amazing, so it's hard to fault that. I think he's going to be a star, but that line does worry me. If I'm looking at the Raiders next year, I worry they're going to be really bad because of if they're bad, it's the O-line. It's got to be what it is. I know they've drafted that and they have some players, but Colton Miller's going to be at the end of his contract. They have some issues. I'm a little nervous for your Raiders, Mag.
Well, the other part is the defense is not very good. I mean, they've got some names that but they need a lot of work. Jeanty it feels like a luxury pick.
Well, I think they want to keep the ball on the offensive side to keep that offense away from. They don't want the defense on the field. They want Saquon with the Eagles. If Jeanty is effective, that means the defense doesn't have to play as much. You don't have to see as much Mahomes and Herbert. They have a plan, but if the line can't execute, it won't work.
How did one Dallas Cowboys superstar react to their draft pick? We'll bring that to you next. And more Shedeur Sanders. Why did he drop out of the first round? We've got theories and we've got opinions. It's the Maggie and Perloff Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining.
Hold on one sec. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. All right.
Yo, Steelers depot, y'all messed up bad. Took the wrong quote, now the whole squad's mad. Drag Maggie's name through the dirt so quick. When it was Perloff talking all that spit. Now Steelers Nation's got torches lit, thinking Maggie's lost her wit. But y'all don't fact check for a bit. So let's talk about who's really full of Steelers depot, get your facts in check. Blame the wrong one, man, show some respect. Perloff said it, but Maggie gets wrecked. Now your credibility's looking suspect. Lifetime contract, yeah, Perloff's take. But Depot's rushing just to make clickbait. They ain't even bother to hit replay. Now Maggie's out here fighting the hate. And where's Bilotti? Oh, still MIA. Call it a job, but he don't stay. Skip more shifts than Depot skips facts. Maybe he and Truth got a secret pact. Steelers Depot, get your facts in check. Blame the wrong one, man, show some respect. Perloff said it, but Maggie gets wrecked. Now your credibility's looking suspect. So next time y'all wanna twist a take, try listening before you make that mistake. Depot disaster, that's your name, and Bilotti still ghosts the game. Yo, Steelers Depot, y'all messed up bad. Took the wrong quote, now the whole squad's mad. Drag Maggie's name through the dirt so quick. When it was Perloff talking all that spit. Now Steelers Nation's got torches lit, thinking Maggie's lost her wit. But y'all don't fact check for a bit. So let's talk about who's really full of Steelers Depot, get your facts in check. Blame the wrong one, man, show some respect. Perloff said it, but Maggie gets wrecked. Now your credibility's looking suspect. Lifetime contract, yeah, Perloff's take. But Depot's rushing just to make clickbait. They ain't even bother to hit replay. Now Maggie's out here fighting the hate. And where's Bilotti? Oh, still MIA. Call it a job, but he don't stay. Skip more shifts than Depot. Yo, Steelers Depot, y'all messed up bad. Took the wrong quote, now the whole squad's mad. Drag Maggie's name through the dirt so quick. When it was Perloff talking all that spit. Now Steelers Nation's got torches lit, thinking Maggie's lost her wit. But y'all don't fact check for a bit. So let's talk about who's really full of Steelers Depot, get your facts in check. Blame the wrong one, man, show some respect. Perloff said it, but Maggie gets wrecked. Now your credibility's looking suspect. Lifetime contract, yeah, Perloff's take. The Depot's rushing just to make clickbait. Didn't even bother to hit replay. Now Maggie's out here fighting the hate. Now Twitter's wild like she's on crack. Just cause Depot ain't watched the track. Y'all spread a lie, now it won't go back. Hope y'all enjoyed that clown contract. Where's Bilotti? Or still MIA. Calls it a job, but he don't stay.
15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
I think I know what's coming. This NASCAR race preview is sponsored by Weather Guard Truck and Van Equipment. They're just as driven as the hardworking pros they serve. Manny, hit us. Where are they this weekend?
Guys, after remaining idle last week, the NASCAR Cup Series is at my favorite track. It's the Jack Links 500 from Talladega Superspeedway. Who will attack those incomprehensible bank turns and avoid the big one in those 188 laps? Could it be Kyle Larson, who won at Bristol last time out? Perhaps standing leader William Byron? What about last season's winner of the spring race at Dega in Tyler Reddick? We'll all find out. The Jack Links 500 from Talladega Superspeedway.
Shake and bake, baby.
Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern.
I love Talladega Nights is top 5 sports movies of all time. The accuracy, when he's running to the end of the finish line in the last scene, amazing.
Our brothers to the south call you Jesus.
Manny Tires, fantastic job. Let's get to the Cowboys Quickie. We don't have to really speak fluent Jerry to know that they were probably going with an offensive lineman with the 12th pick last night. That's what they did. Tyler Booker from Alabama. I can't kill the Cowboys for these picks. I know we're getting a little bored by it, but they pick guys on the offensive line, and those guys go to the Hall of Fame. So I'm not.
I am not with you on that at all.
The guy he's replacing is going to the Hall of Fame.
I hear you, but they're in their new trend. They draft either people named Tyler or people named Smith. And yeah, but this line stunk last year. And they've been drafting heavy line. I think that it worked in the past. I don't think it's a guarantee that you could recreate that just by drafting all these guys. But go ahead.
Here is Micah Parsons, of course, was doing his own live stream last night to break down all the draft picks. You really want to listen to this for the silence of it. He is stunned by the selection.
The Dallas Cowboys are selecting Tyler Booker, offensive lineman from Alabama, is the official pick out of the Crimson Tide.
Hold on. I am excited about the pick.
Doesn't sound like it. Now, listen, Micah Parsons, he's not the one laughing, by the way. That was somebody else, and Adam Lefko was setting up the pick. But he just has this pregnant pause. This wasn't exactly, Travis Hunter when he found out he was going to Jacksonville and he's like jumping all over the place. Micah Parsons wasn't happy. I obviously wanted somebody on the defense. And he says that, but, he saved it, Perloff. He did. He explained why he was stunned by the pick. Let's hear more from Micah.
Hold on. I am excited about the pick. This guy is a beast. He is a beast. And I look at him and Tyler Smith, guard on guard with Zach Martin leaving. This is one of them picks. Wow. He is a beast. He is a beast. I just wanted to see that on my side of the ball. That's it. But this guy's a beast. I'm not mad at the pick. I get it. Look, that's the type of excitement I had when I was a Cowboy. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah, oh God. Oh God. This is the type of excitement I had.
Okay. So that's what Micah Parsons thinks about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Wanted a little help on defense. Can I tell you what Jerry Jones had to say?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so this is written. We don't have the audio of it, but Jerry Jones says, put Tyler Booker in there with the big BB, their center. Put him in with Tyler, and we might be able to tush push. This is the plan here. I think the Cowboys want to start doing the tush push. The only problem is the tush push is probably going to get banned before the season starts.
Yeah, I saw Goodell talk about it last night. I have a feeling it probably will survive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's eventually going to get banned, I think. So maybe Jerry was just being funny here, tongue-in-cheek, that they want to start doing the tush push, or maybe they do.
Yeah. Kuiper shredded this pick, by the way. He said he had Tyler Booker as like the 30th player. It's just a pure need pick. Man, why won't they draft a wide receiver? Like, they're dead. They're dead in the water. I think Cowboys are in big trouble.
See, but how do you kill a team who
because
just gave
you need
the
a wide
quarterback?
Receiver.
Okay, but you just gave your quarterback $60 million.
Right.
Okay, so you're invested. He's coming off of an injury.
Yeah.
You don't want to try to build a wall in front of him?
Who is he throwing to? There are 4 guys on CeeDee Lamb. Who's he handing the ball to?
Well, listen, first of all, running backs I think you can find later. Let's not kill the Cowboys for not taking running back there. Wide receivers you can also find later in the draft.
I don't know.
I'm not burying the Cowboys on this one at all.
Oh, man. I think the Cowboys are in trouble. I really do. Their schedule's impossible next year. All their good players are hurt. I don't know that because they've been drafting these O-line guys, and it's not doing anything. They were terrible last year. They were 25th against the pass protection last year.
Listen, they were a 12-win-a-year team for 3 years in a row.
Yeah, because of those old picks. The new picks aren't doing enough.
888-710-4ISN. 888-710-4476. Why did Shedeur Sanders fall out of the first round of the draft? We'll tell you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Shedeur Sanders falls out of the first round of the draft, and you know what? Not a lot of people were shocked by this, and I think the Sanderses have themselves to blame for how they handled the pre-draft process. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. That's not the only thing that happened last night. It was very exciting, Pearl.
Yeah.
We got a big trade right off the bat.
Oh
The Jacksonville Jaguars traded up with the Cleveland Browns to get Travis Hunter. Now the Browns may be setting up to get a quarterback in 2026 because they got Jacksonville's first-round pick for next year. Lots of crazy stuff happening.
Or are they going to – they have 2 picks in the top 5 picks
4.
at the night.
Yeah.
So why not take the quarterback now? Why not – if I know we're talking about it, like Shedeur's sitting there. I mean, they must be thinking, wow, if we could come away with Mason Graham at number 5 – shore up our defensive line and Shedeur Sanders and get next year's first, that's kind of a huge win perception-wise.
Yeah, I just think that if you take Shedeur in the second round, I think it probably takes you out of the running for quarterback for next year. Now, listen, it may be a new regime next year.
Yeah,
it may be anything. I don't know. But
again, I don't know about it. I mean, why would next year be any different than this year? I just think that that's a dangerous game. You have no idea if next year's class. There's no, I don't think there's a Trevor Lawrence. Arch is so young. I think he goes back. So I don't know if we'll know tonight. We will know tonight. Yes. We're the Browns thinking about next year. If they pass on Shedeur again, then it's clearly about next year.
Yeah, because you'd be going into the season with right now Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett. I mean, that's not a recipe to win the AFC North.
But it's so funny you say that. If they take Tyler Shuck at 36, and you're like, oh yeah, they could definitely take a guy next year. It's just the Shedeur-ness of it all.
Well, okay, but he is different.
Yeah. If
different.
you take Shedeur, then you're committing. If you take Tyler Shuck, it's a flyer. I really believe it. Oh, if you take Tyler Shuck at 36, you think that's going to keep you out of the Arch Manning game?
Well, I think it's one thing that what you're setting to a message you're sending to the fans. And I think it's another thing about if I'm the owner of the Browns, and I know that's a dangerous headspace to try to get into because the Browns,
Haslam's, yeah.
Oof. Anyway, if you take Shedeur Sanders, let's say the 33rd overall pick tonight, right? And then next year you come back to me and say, oh well, now we got to get Kate Klubnik. I'm like, well, what are you doing? But did you have conviction on a guy? I think top of the second round is still, you're not into flyer territory yet, where you're not taking a flyer on a guy. This is I have conviction about a guy.
No,
this is we traded out of Travis Hunter because we thought getting more picks is going to help us for a quarterback, I thought, in the future. And, I thought it was also a major statement here by the Browns on really where we're at with the league. They have Myles Garrett. They just paid him. And their win total is still where it is, right? Like Myles Garrett is not, for as talented as he is, isn't making you a Super Bowl contender. I think the Browns saw the same thing with Hunter. All time, could go to Canton, amazing electric prospect. If we don't have a quarterback, we don't have anything.
Yeah, but I mean, in Cam Ward, does he change the Titans win total?
Well, I think they think he could be a franchise quarterback and have
but
upside.
I'm just saying.
So, yeah.
I don't think next year though.
Oh, well, for year one, I don't know if what any rookie quarterback does.
I understand what you're saying, Big. I'm kind of playing semantics with year one, but yeah, I'm not sure it's that simple because of these particular quarterbacks. But Shedeur could end up being just fine. I think if you take a guy in the second round, I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, late second round, went to New England, and nobody's being like, well, this is the future of the franchise. That could be a backup position. Eagles took Jalen Hurts. He was not supposed to be the starter. He was supposed to be a backup. So you could take a backup quarterback in the second round. Can you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a commitment at all.
Well, but it's usually, look at the 2 examples you just mentioned. Those guys actually, there were starters that were entrenched. When you have a nebulous situation like the Browns do, of course you're going to fill in. Yeah, it was Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett. You don't think people are going to say, where's Shedeur Sanders the moment that Flacco throws 2 pick sixes in a game?
Absolutely, but I think with Shedeur, it's a big deal. But if you took Tyler Shuck, take him first pick tonight, 33, and he gets in week 8 and isn't great, nobody in Cleveland's going to hesitate to take another quarterback. They wouldn't even be a thought on their mind.
So I want to get into the Shedeurness of it because now he's left here sitting wondering what happened. A couple months ago, I'm thought of as maybe the top quarterback in this draft, let alone the second. Now, not only did Cam Ward go number 1, but if you're just waking up this morning and say you missed the back half of the first round, the Giants moved back into the first round to take Jackson Dart from Ole Miss. So a statement there, not Shedeur. Let's hear from Sanders, okay, telling the draft party that his fall was unexpected.
We all didn't expect this, of course, but I feel like with God, anything possible, everything possible. I don't feel like this happened, for no reason. All this is, of course, fuel to the fire.
Okay, more from Shedeur said the slide shouldn't have happened, but he is still excited about his future.
Under no circumstance, we all know this shouldn't have happened. But we understand we're on the bigger and better things. Tomorrow's the day. We're going to be happy regardless. Legendary. Ooh.
I didn't know he dropped the legendary at the end. Well, maybe save that one. That's like a little Russell Wilson Broncos country. Let's ride. But here's the thing. I actually, first of all, I know this is crazy. Now I'm looking at this a little through a mom lens. Like, I have a young son. Him addressing the room, I think, is a pretty mature thing to do. I know he's a quarterback, high level, talks to cameras a lot, has his own podcast, all that stuff. But I think there's a lot of young men who would just say, like, I'm going off by myself. I'm so embarrassed. I feel shame about this. The fact that he's standing up and addressing the people who came to support him and say, I'm still staying positive. You guys should stay positive for me. Anyway, I think that's commendable.
Well, I mean, if you love him so much, why don't you marry him, Mel Kiper? We are
you
stretching.
Gotta point out the good things.
Stretching. Oh, God.
Okay.
You're falling into the media love for Shedeur Sanders.
He's honestly, a charismatic dude.
It probably, he is. I actually really like him, too. But it probably annoyed teams so much that the media is more in love with this guy than Andrew Luck. And every generational quarterback combined got half the media love this dude did.
Okay, I just said something really nice, and I believe that. And now I'm going to say something that's not so nice, which is I think that the Sanders slip is their own doing. And I think they miscalculated the pre-draft process very early on in the process. And I think Deion was a big part of it. And I've been very positive about Deion, but here's where I got to keep it a buck and be really critical of him. Can I have the Deion on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast? This is back in last March, obviously. Really calling their shot about how they were going to manipulate the draft process.
I know where I want them to go. Mm-hmm. And let's not forget Shallow, okay? Mm-hmm. But I know where I want them to go. So there's certain cities that ain't going to happen.
Okay, you on point.
It's gonna be. It's gonna be an Eli.
Yeah, I think that set the wrong tone here.
It's gonna be an Eli.
I think it was more the let's not forget Shiloh. They're like, you're gonna force me to take this headhunter? No way.
The Thanasis Antetokounmpo of the equation. You want Giannis, you got to take Thanasis. Anyway, I think that let's think about the teams who are looking for quarterbacks potentially. You're talking about Cleveland. We're talking about the New York Giants. We're talking about Pittsburgh Steelers. We're talking about maybe the Raiders, Saints. I think that maybe there were teams that were probably pretty turned off by this. And by the way, I think there were teams, definitely the Chargers, were turned off when the Giants did this and when the Manning family did this back in 2004. I don't think it's popular, whether it's Deion or anybody, to say we're going to manipulate the draft process. Pearl, it's like everything you say about college football. The people who are in power don't want to give any of it up.
But Eli went number 1, so obviously nobody was bothered by the Mannings. People must have known the Mannings were going to try to manipulate the system, and nobody said anything.
Right. I don't think it's a popular thing to do to kind of come in and say we're going to disrupt the system.
No, I think it's bigger picture here. That is emblematic of the bigger Deion. Deion is going to be. Yeah, I agree with you. This did hurt, but he's interventionist in every way. If he's going to say that in March, what do you think he's going to say in September when some veteran starter throws 2 picks in a game? You don't think he's going to get on a mic and say they better play Shedeur? So a coach has that pressure. And then if Shedeur struggles, hey, this guy's calling the wrong plays. He's just going to keep on getting in there.
Yeah, that was always going to be there. And so I'm not going to disagree with you about the shadow of Deion and his fame and celebrity. Although usually when guys are sons of athletes or sons of coaches, it's generally looked at as a good thing.
Yeah, but those
with
are
Deion,
usually
it's not.
Those are usually more often they're medium players. The sons of superstars. We're talking about Deion. I think it's different. I think LeBron is getting a lot of heat. I think Michael Jordan's kids had no chance. So I think they're different for each situation.
Yeah, right. I'm watching Scottie Pippen Jr. light it up last night. I mean, you can go either way with that. But anyway, I'm talking about the Sanders family botching the pre-draft process. And the first way you knew that was when all long ago, when Deion started calling shots about where Shedeur is going to go. The second part, and this was something I never really fully bought into, but I'm starting to buy into it a little now, which is the interview process didn't go well with Shedeur with certain teams, not all of them, but with certain teams, and I think one of them was the Giants. And the Giants are the team that traded back into the first round to get Jackson Dart, and the fact that, and I'm not trying to source guess here, but the fact that Todd McShay was the one who came out and said that Shedeur came off as arrogant or whatever in some of the combine interviews, he's got this very tight relationship with Brian Daboll and with the Giants. And I think maybe Shedeur messed up the Giants interview. I don't know. But Diana Rossini kind of alluded to that a little bit yesterday also, because we said, wow, they've been spending all this time with Shedeur, the Giants I'm talking about. Extra time, extra workouts, all the stuff you can possibly do. Like, what happened? And she said a lot of things, and amongst the many were that he may have rubbed some people in the organization the wrong way. So again,
McShay said it was a bad interview.
Right. So I'm just saying, I think, and the fact is, if Shedeur actually tanked any of these interviews or anything, like here's the thing: you give a bad interview, you're in control of that, and especially someone who's as media savvy as Shedeur. So again, I think they messed up here. I think he slipped because they had some major miscalculations before the draft.
But let me ask you point blank, if he was a better prospect, would any of that matter?
No, because the NFL, they draft Jack the Ripper if he could tackle.
So my point is, Shedeur was marginal as a first round quarterback, and
so they couldn't afford to mess around.
Yeah, no,
and
I
they
agree
did.
with you. Right, but at the end of the day, I just think teams are like, he's not worth it. He's not that great.
888-710-4ISN. Let's go to Derrick, who's in Baltimore. Derrick, what's your thoughts on Shedeur slipping out of the first round?
Yeah, Maggie, I'm with you on this. Now, this is just my opinion. And I can relate, but not really. See, I have a son in college. He goes to a D2 school here in Frostburg, Maryland. Here's the thing. It's not about the parent. You have to just shut up. I truly believe if Deion Sanders would have just been quiet the entire time, because what you don't say is just as important as what you do say. If he would have just shut up and say, look, wherever they go, they'll be great, they'll do their best, and that's it.
Deion Sanders. Derrick.
No,
Deion Sanders is going to say that.
He's saying imagine an alternate universe where
some
that happens.
universe far away.
But here's
Galaxy
the thing, though.
far away. Yeah.
We know how Deion is, but listen, this is on them, because you can choose not to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose to shut up and just let your son live his life and go through the process. And on top of that, you want to also say, the only way I will go to the NFL is if I can coach my kid. No team wants to deal with that. Not one. There is not one team, not one head coach that wants to deal with. So it's like parents.
Yep.
Just shut up. Let your kids enjoy the process. If Deion would have just said nothing or very little, maybe teams, put it like this. If every team went until last night knowing if we draft Shedeur, we don't have to worry about Deion. We don't have to worry about his baggage, which he lets it be known it's Louis, and all that other crap that means nothing. If teams would have just known, I only have to deal with Shedeur, he would have. So, and Maggie, the clip you played, the whole, we're going to pull the Eli. You should have shut up before then. I'm talking about from the day the Colorado season was over. You should have just, it's all about Shedeur.
Right.
It's all about Travis. Oh, let's not forget Shiloh. Well, we don't need to worry about Shiloh because no one's making a big deal about him. He's not even that good. He's
Derrick,
okay.
But Derrick, you say he should have not talked. That's like walking up to the ocean with a bucket and trying to you can't stop
Hey, look,
Deion. There's no there's no chance. That is not in his nature at all. It's not even a conversation with him.
You're right, and then look, and you're right, but look where it's gotten him. Look where it's gotten him. So hopefully now he'll know.
Yeah.
Listen, we get who you are. We know.
Yeah.
But Prime, it's not about you. You had your time. Shut up. Just coach Colorado because you're trying to be in the middle of coaching Colorado and manipulating the NFL. No, you're not manipulating the NFL because you're not bigger than the NFL. I don't know why certain people think that the NFL runs off of them or they're going. You're not. No one is bigger than the NFL.
No, it's the behemoth. You know, Derrick, you're making a great point here. And can I I want to point out something that someone brought earlier to the show. And thank you for the call and have yourself a great weekend. That when Arch Manning does come out, it may not be next year, maybe it's the year after when he's in the draft and going to the NFL. I have no doubt that the Mannings will apply some kind of pressure. Hell, we saw with Eli, right? They literally manipulated him to New York. I think they would do something similar with with Arch.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to look a lot different, though. And that's why I'm being critical of the Sanderses for how they handled this, the pre-draft process. Because I think the Mannings are going to be super involved. And I think they're not going to get the same backlash because I think they're going to apply the pressure in a softer kind of way. I don't think they'll pull a full-on other Eli again. I don't know if you can do that in this media day and age. Arch might take too much shrapnel there.
I'm not sure Archie Manning, the older, said anything out loud.
Well, he was standing there with Eli when he's doing the interview.
Right, but I don't think he did an interview in March where he said we're going to manipulate. I don't think, I don't remember, but I don't think this was out there until draft night.
So I asked you this question a couple weeks ago. Do you think Steve Sarkisian ever heard from the Manning family this season?
Yes,
Right. So the parents, I don't know if it's Cooper, Peyton, the uncles, whatever, they're good. They're going to be involved the same way.
But they heard, do you know how they heard from him? On the phone. You know how we heard from Deion? On TV. It's a completely different thing. Who cares if every parent's going to call. They're not going to have every possible microphone in their face. After a Colorado game, the second question is going to be, how come Shedeur didn't start in Cleveland or whatever? I'm telling you, Deion is a huge problem for teams.
I think it was a difference, too, because the NFL teams don't like to be told what to do. And I think with Eli, remember, it wasn't before the draft, hey, man, we're going to make sure we know where we want him to go. It was the Chargers got the number one pick. Then he went to San Diego and was like, this place sinks. These guys are idiots. Like, we can't send you there. It wasn't the March of the previous year saying, hey, I'm just saying, some cities, we ain't going there. Like multiple cities, he said, multiple teams. Like I think that Tom McShay said it on the podcast the other day. Like they kind of limited a pool that was already limited,
right?
Because we don't know who these teams were that Shedeur may have went in there and thrown a meeting with. Because I can't imagine that Shedeur doesn't know how to write plays on a whiteboard or tell you, spider 2 wide banana.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine that.
Can't be charismatic. We know he can be.
Yeah, he coached for an NFL former head coach. He played under a former NFL head coach. You got Pat Shermer calling your plays.
Right.
So this idea that he doesn't know anything about pro football or offensive systems, I can't imagine that. So I agree with Matt. I think he got bad advice. I think he got steered in a way that was a detriment to him, and Deion Sanders is to blame.
Can I ask you guys if you buy this narrative at all? And this is not just about Shedeur, that there are a lot of college guys who are doing interviews who already had $20 million in the bank or whatever, that were 50 times richer than the assistant coaches, that there are a lot of people who are saying, because of NIL, a lot of these prospects are coming into that room entitled. And a lot of the coaches, the quote-unquote anonymous sources who are talking to Tom Pelissero, are not liking these rich kids in interviews. They have much less to lose. Like, what do they care? Because there is that narrative out there that, do they love football? I heard Joel Klatt say this.
Yeah.
Do they love football? He said it last night. The question is, do they love football? They already have money in the bank. And you have always said it, Maggie, money makes you more of who you are. Are the players coming in completely different now than NIL?
Well, I think the biggest question mark around who do you actually love football was Teteroa McMillan, and he went 8. So It was like, does he watch film? He loves volleyball.
Yeah, but Luther Burden did not go in the first round.
Yeah, I don't. His production wasn't great last year. Anyway, here's the thing. Like, if you want to say Shedeur, the flashy watches. Did you see what Abdul Carter was wearing last night? And the grills. The flashy stuff is just like young people, I think. And that's just a personal style. If you do is the money turning off assistant coaches? Yeah, I think if you come off entitled, it does. But if you come off hungry and you come off ready to win and ready to work hard, then I think it's not the money. I think it's the person.
I think it's. I hear what you're saying. That does make sense, but I think it's naive to think that NIL is not having a major impact on everything we're seeing. I mean, it's impossible. I mean, we have GMs all over the college ranks. I think there has to be a fallout. It can't just be business as usual.
I think it may help the pre-draft process because at least some guys now will, if it was the old way and let's say no one was getting, money under the table, you went from having not two nickels to rub together potentially to having $20 million in your bank account. Who knows how you'd react to that, how any person would react to that. So in some ways, I think it makes their jobs a little easier. It's like, all right, this guy has a little walk around money. How did he spend it? How did he use it?
Yeah, but I think teams, old school guys, be like, I want that guy as hungry as humanly possible. I don't want him to have, like Cooper Kupp. I want him to have a roommate. I think that NFL teams want desperate players. I think, and the most desperate players. That's why every great quarterback has some crazy story where they have a ton of adversity in their past. I do think it's. Listen, I'm not saying I do that, but these old school coaches don't want the bling bling the kids wear these days. I know you're gonna drop that.
That was
the what?
That's been happening for 30 years. Look at Deion's draft night. He's all iced out. Everybody.
Yeah,
put him on layaway.
But the coaches never had to deal with like a podcast. They never had to deal with that. There's so much
That's a
more.
them problem. That's not that. I'm not blaming that on the next generation.
Right. You could call it a them problem, but our job, I think, is to predict what teams are going to do. The teams think this way. We're not here to say what they should do sometimes. We're also debating, like, what do you think they'll do? We know the teams think this way about Deion. We know they think this way about Shedeur. So whether they should or not it's somewhat irrelevant in this conversation.
Listen, I don't want to not leave space for the fact that this could work out very well for Shedeur. I'm criticizing them. I think they botched the pre-draft process, and I will maintain that. But it's possible he lands with a better team, a better coaching staff, a more stable situation. So we do have to let this play out a little.
Or with the first pick of the second round, the Cleveland Browns take Shedeur Sanders. Wah, wah.
Good luck.
Because on paper, that's not a better spot. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think it'd be worse for Shedeur if they say... Thank you, Manny. With the 33rd pick, the Cleveland Browns select Jalen Milroe.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that'd be worse.
For Shedeur? Or what if he goes 40 to the Saints with no talent, no cap space? It's
angry Derek Carr.
Still TBD for Shedeur where he goes. I like your Ram. That was the one I liked the most.
The Rams would be great.
That'd be great.
Sit behind Stafford. McVay's there. That'd be him really landing in a cushy spot. 888-710-4ISN. 888-710-4476. Let us know what you think about your team. Let us know what you think about Shedeur. And we will do some winners and losers coming up next.
And let's not forget Shallow.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes.
Torch is lit, thinking Maggie's lost her wit. Well, drunk as Sam stumbled into work at night, smelling like a whiskey, cheap boxed wine. Tried to flirt with Lisa from accounting again, but HR warned him that's strike number 10. Oh Sam, you gotta read the room. You ain't Casanova, you're just full of booms. Where the hell is Peter Blight? Did he call in sick or win the damn lottery? Nobody's seen him since 2:15. Was it a long night or a rendezvous? Oh, Bellotti, did you ghost us for good? Or are you just stuck in your neighborhood? Sam sent an email, slurred every word. Called the boss, baby man, that's absurd. Tried to high-five, but he missed by a mile. Knocked over the coffee, still flashing a smile. Then he said, I may get too familiar too soon, I am told. By HR and writing, yeah, that's getting old. Where the hell is Peter Blight? Was he trapped in traffic or hiding in the lobby? The phones keep ringing, but he won't pick up. Left Maggie and Perloff to clean this up. Lady said I may get too familiar too soon, I am told. By HR and writing, yeah, that's getting old. Where the hell is Peter Blight? Was he trapped in traffic or hiding in the lobby? Phones keep ringing, but he won't pick up. Left Maggie and Perloff to clean this up.
2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. I think there's one prospect we're not talking enough about today. It's all Shedeur Sanders, Shedeur this, Shedeur that. What's Deion's impact on Shedeur? What about Shiloh? What about Shiloh? Thankfully, we did hear from the former Colorado safety last night, commenting on his brother Shedeur falling.
See, bro, I don't even know what they're going to do with me, bro, because they're doing you like this. Selfish ass by himself. They doing him, making him wait? Oh, buddy. Me? Oh.
And let's not forget Shiloh.
That's a great point. If the team has a Shedeur, Shiloh, who's a very marginal safety prospect, probably who's going to go undrafted. But that's a good self-awareness by Shiloh, right, Maggie?
I like that he's cutting the tension here, right? This is either he's read the room and understands everyone needs a little crack up, you know?
He's like, if they're not drafting that guy in the first round, I am definitely not going to draft him.
See, bro, I don't even know what they're going to do with me, bro, because they're doing you.
What are they going to do with me? Anyway, we're talking about whether or not the Sanders family sort of botched this pre-draft process, calling their shot, saying, we're going to pull an Eli Manning. This is back in last March. I mean, kind of planting the seeds that Shedeur's not just going to go anywhere. Well, now he'll go anywhere. I was just asking.
I want Shiloh on the Eagles bad. Okay. That guy is a 1993 headhunter. He does nothing but guards penalties. He's awesome.
Yeah, meanwhile, well, if any team would take him, it's probably the Eagles. 888-710-4ISN. We want to do some winners and losers before we get to Bogusch's update here. Pearl, you want to start us off? Maybe we'll take a little music. Go ahead, Pearl.
Oh, I think the biggest winner, and everybody has this, the fact that Tyler Warren, the Penn State tight end, fell to the Colts at 14. It was covered well last night. Everyone knew they needed a tight end. They wanted a tight end. And I can't totally understand why everyone passed on Tyler Warren. Colston Loveland, who maybe an equivalent prospect, went number 10 to Chicago. So the Jets didn't take Tyler Warren, and we saw do everything in Penn State. Then the Dolphins at 13 take Kenneth Grant, the defensive tackle. Okay, Tyler Warren would have been amazing there. I think the Colts were popping champagne last night. He's a great player.
I think you're right. And there's a quarterback battle going on in Indianapolis, but whoever they decide to go with, whether it's Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson, will benefit from having Tyler Warren. I thought Tyler Warren's draft party was really noticeable, too. Did anyone else? I think there were 3 people in the room who were under the age of 50.
Oh, I did not notice that. It was he had an old crowd?
Were they playing harmonicas? Was it the Koreatown Senior Center?
It was one step away.
Okay.
This was an interesting one. I am not, I'll do winner here, which was the North Dakota State offensive lineman Gray Zabel, who went to the Seattle Seahawks. I don't play this game, but I saw a lot of people are fans of the board game Catan.
Yeah.
It was
Settlers
open.
of Catan.
Settlers of Catan,
Yeah.
excuse me. Not only was the game, like the box was propped up for the camera, it was like a game was in progress that they were, is this like Dungeons and Dragons? What
I
is
don't know. Case Keenum, my good buddy, used to, when he was a Ram, they had 15 players played Settlers of Catan every weeknight. I don't know the why.
There's always a Case Keenum connection. Anybody get Case?
No, he's a massive Settlers of Catan. He said the whole team, he's like, we'd get the skill position players. This is an NFL board game.
Yeah, so I think it was like a funny kind of like a winner is the guy who, I don't know. It was just funny to me that he had a board game set up. But obviously, we're doing some of the sillier things. Another winner, I never praised the Browns, like ever.
Right.
And I actually thought what they did made some sense here. Now, the big trade was going from 5 to 2.
Mm-hmm.
They traded with Jacksonville. Jacksonville gets Travis Hunter, so that's awesome for them. And that's going to be fun to watch now, the AFC South. But I don't know. I thought the Browns really did something cool here. I don't know if they're going to take a quarterback in this draft, but they now got themselves a 2026 pick for next year. And as high as people could be on Jacksonville, you still have Trevor Lawrence coming off an injury. What if they win 5 games next year? That's going to be a valuable pick.
Yeah, I would have gone. I like it too. I would have gone even a step further, trade 5 to 10 with Chicago, who wanted Ashton Jeanty, and just accumulate and go all in and fully tank. Unfortunately, Big Arm Joe Flacco is going to be too good if he is the quarterback there. Can I go another winner?
Yeah.
I think we're going to do all winners, no losers here.
Oh, I got a loser.
Flacco?
When the Matthew Golden thing was so exciting because Green Bay was so proud to have the draft, and they finally took Matthew Golden. I mean, honestly, this second and third round, fourth round receivers, enough. They stink in Green Bay. I'm so sick of these Green Bay receivers. I am so excited to get a guy who runs a 4.3, and we've seen him make big catches and big moments at Texas. I think this was finally the Packers take a wide receiver. I know Aaron Rodgers won't be happy. This one is a home run.
This is what it sounded like last night in Green Bay.
With the 23rd pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the 13-time world champion Green Bay Packers, for the first time since 2002, draft a wide receiver. Matthew Golden, wide receiver, Texas.
That was Mark Murphy who was making the pick there. So from the Packers brass, you're right. It was weird with the wide receiver room last year for the Packers. It was either injuries that did them in, or at some points they had benching guys. It was weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's been weird. I think that's why Rodgers was like, what's going on here? Mark Murphy, Colgate grad. They were celebrating. It was good. I love the Colgate. I'm going to give
You went to Dartmouth.
No, I know, but my mom grew up in where Colgate is, in Hamilton. I'm also a Colgate fan. Anyway, regardless of that, I think Green Bay as a whole was a winner because they did to me, it was a great showing off of Titletown. I loved it. I got into it.
I'm going to give you a loser here, and I hope I'm wrong. Let me just put it that way. I don't think Ashton Jeanty and the Raiders is going to be what people think it is in the first year. I don't think the Raiders are ready to be a thing right now. And I've watched this before. We all watched it when Saquon Barkley went to the Giants in 2018, and he won Rookie of the Year and was fine, but they couldn't win. And if you're not ready to add a running back like that, even such a dynamic one, you're doing this guy no favors. And I don't want to watch him languish in Vegas.
Meaning like he only has so many carries on those legs. You got to take advantage of them. That kind of thing.
I wish he had gone to a team that was a little bit more ready to win now, because running backs, are the one position that can really storm out of the gate and be a big difference maker for a team that could be playoff bound. And I don't think the Raiders are.
Yeah,
So
I think this was God, we got to protect Geno. We cannot let Geno be in 3rd and 10 every time. I think this is like the whole thing depends on them getting a run game. So I understand it from that standpoint, because if they have to have Geno throw 50 touchdowns, they're in big trouble. But also, too, I mean, that being said, it's going to be kind of cool to see Ashton Jeanty in the black and silver.
I said, I hope I'm wrong. Another loser, the bedazzled Crocs.
Oh, awesome.
Jeanty wore them on the red carpet.
Yeah.
He changed for the draft pick, but he was wearing like bejeweled Crocs, diamond Crocs.
Yeah. Did anyone not like those? I thought those were really cool.
I'm sorry. Crocs is how they were such a laughing stock.
Easy now.
I know. And then they became cool again. My kids got a pair.
I got a pair.
I got some.
I think they look silly on adults, guys.
I don't hate Crocs now that I had them. They helped me during my surgery. This didn't look good though.
Really? I thought it was so
They're
creative.
Ugly.
Yeah, this isn't it.
I'll tell you what, my Navy Crocs with my New York Knicks things that you put on top of it, man, they look better than what Ashton had, though.
What'd you guys think of Will Campbell's green pinstripe suit?
Elite.
Yeah, fine. I like when a big man takes a risk, fashion risk.
I like the joke that green pinstripes make your arms look longer.
Only an inch, though.
And then I got killed because other people made this joke like he was crying, but unfortunately he couldn't reach his face to wipe away the tears. He was a little Tyrannosaurus Rex. A lot of crying last night, by the way. NFL is getting super soft.
I kind of feel like
a lot of crying.
I kind of feel like it wasn't much as previous years.
But at home, a lot of guys were wearing sunglasses and just sort of say that you could see the little shake.
Yeah, I just saw a lot of guys who went up there on the stage though. They were really happy. They were dancing and stuff. I was like, "Where's the crying?" I'm used to crying every draft now. I didn't.
Well,
besides Will Campbell, I really didn't get any feels last.
The guys at home,
they're already rich.
Who was the guy at the end? There was a guy at the end who couldn't even speak for 5 minutes.
Shiloh.
Yeah, I think the linemen are more emotional. The wide receivers, Ted McMillan.
The bigger the man, the bigger the tears.
Ted McMillan did a 6-minute dance routine. He was like Lin-Manuel Miranda coming out there. I don't know what was going on there. he actually performed a big chunk of Moana before he got there.
Bogusch has headlines. What's up, Bogusch?
From Incarnate Word to Washington State to Miami to EJ's Dreams to the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, new Titans QB Cam Ward on that journey on Westwood One.
I think it's helped me more being, being a better person and being a better player. I had 3 good locker rooms that I was blessed to go with. And, all those guys that I played with in the past is a big reason why I'm here today. And so, I'm forever grateful for, those 3 stops. And I'm just ready, to, get a chance to play in the National Football League.
There was no drama for Ward last night. He's been the Titans' pick for weeks, if not longer, so most of the QB attention, as we've been discussing all morning, went to Shedeur Sanders, who still hasn't heard his name called yet. Jackson Dart, the only other first-round QB, going to the Giants after they traded with Houston for the 25th pick. Shedeur is theoretically a possibility for the Browns with the first pick of round 2 tonight.
Can I ask a question about Cam Ward, by the way? Did you see the offer that the Giants made up for him?
I saw that.
Yeah.
Multiple first-round picks, right?
Yeah.
Future first?
I thought that was a little rich. I thought the Giants were taking a big risk if that trade had gone through. I have it here. They offered this year's first, next year's first, and multiple other picks for number 1, and they still declined. That would have been... I actually came away and said, the Giants, that's too much.
Titans fans better hope that they got Patrick Mahomes last night.
Because the Titans could have drafted Abdul Carter and then had the Giants pick next year.
Well, also, you're betting that the Giants may not be very good this year, which may have been a pretty safe bet.
With a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, right.
I think the Giants would have been burned if they had actually pulled that off. Sorry, Bogusch.
That's okay. Round 1 also included the Jaguars trading up to number 2 for Travis Hunter. That's the first time since 97 that a team traded into the top 2 and didn't take a quarterback. That was the Rams and Orlando Pace 28 years ago. Hunter's the first wideout to go number 2 since Calvin Johnson in 07, and the first corner ever to go this high. The Browns, who gave up the spot, go to number 5 and went with Michigan D-tackle Mason Graham. The Memphis Grizzlies had a 29-point second quarter lead on the Thunder last night.
They must have won.
Then John Morant got knocked out of midair, hurt his left hip, did not return, and the rest of the Grizz fell apart, losing to OKC 114-108 for an 0-3 series hole. Memphis interim head coach Thomas Isalo says Ja's injury fueled the collapse.
I would say quite drastically. From the end result, but not only the energy, but also the execution.
29 points matches the second largest comeback in postseason history. Morant, by the way, seen on crutches late in the game. Game 4 of this series, possibly the last game of the year for Memphis, is tomorrow. The Clippers put a 117-83 thumping on the Nuggets in LA for a 2-1 series lead. And the Knicks held on to Game 3 in Detroit, 118-116 for their own 2-1 lead. Karl Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson combined for 61 points for New York. Cavs center Evan Mobley is the defensive player of the year, which is really good news for his next contract. It can now be worth an additional $45 million, raising the overall value to $269 million, roughly, over 5 seasons.
Money, 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 money.
The St. Louis Blues, a 7-2 rout of the top-seeded Jets to avoid an 0-3 hole in that first-round series. The Sens could not do the same thing, losing their Game 3 with the Leafs at home in OT 3-2. And last and probably least, the Angels and Pirates tied at 3, bottom 8 in Anaheim.
Shoe guard is set. Here's the next pitch. Neto swings, lifts the ball down the left field side. It's tight to the line. Fair or foul. That ball's out of here. Zach Neto has homered, and the Angels have a 4-3 lead.
When Zach Neto hits a tie-breaking solo homer bottom 8 on April 24th, you will hear it the next morning always on this show. Terry Smith called it Angels 4, Pirates 3 in the end.
Yeah, how did we not lead with that? I got some good comments here in the chat. Thank you, Bogusch.
Shedeur.
Yes, exactly. Tyree is in our chat, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet. Why is everything soft to Perloff? Hoopers can't fall and get hurt. Players can't get emotional during big-time moments. These Philly guys, man, they just want to hang from street poles all day.
Wow.
Go Bird! Also, this is from Pine Needle. Men do not wear Crocs. Care to comment?
Well,
Croc wearers?
I'm a dog, so.
Can I ask a question? I'm wondering this seriously.
Yeah.
Is Manny talking to us in talkback, or is America hearing him?
It's going out over the air.
Oh, I was wondering. Is Manny's running commentary during Bogues? He's taking money.
Oh, that was on there.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to be clear. So America's experiencing Manny like we are.
Yeah, and I ignored it on purpose.
Okay.
Listen, guys.
I hear it, but keep going.
6th grade choir. I know where to put the diaphragm.
I'm sorry, what?
We'll let America be the judge.
I honestly, I'm with Manny. I thought men were allowed to wear Crocs now. I thought that was a thing.
No, I think they. What are they doing and what they should be doing? I think are two different things.
Weren't those Yeezy Crocs worth $500 or something crazy like that?
Oh yeah, remember when Kanye had a shoe line?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he technically still does, but he's not linked to it.
How are sales doing?
Not great.
Cares.
I was looking for sandals yesterday, and apparently Yeezy sandals are still a thing.
Wow. Can we put on the poll? Do men wear Crocs? Should men wear Crocs? Not do they? Should they?
Should men wear sandals is the second poll. What? You don't strike me as a sandal guy.
I'm going to a beach.
Yeah, he's going to Mexico.
I'm going to Mexico.
Yeah, you definitely need sandals for that.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
You're allowed to go now? JetBlue is giving you a ticket?
No, I still got to book the flight now.
Okay.
JetBlue was screwed up the other night.
You know what would be a great option for you to go to Mexico? Crocs.
Crocs are great.
Mm-hmm.
Get sand in them, though.
Yeah.
I like
and then you just wash them out.
I like those Adidas slides that are kind of half flip-flop.
Yeah, I have
half.
those too.
Oh, the ones that have the
Those are
little bumps
fine.
on the
Those are
bottom?
good for the beach.
I used to have those.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are great.
Anytime I go on vacation, I got to level up.
There you go.
Oh, excuse us.
888-710-4ISN. 888-710.
First class. Over here, JetBlue, whatever, bro.
Manny's putting his weekend
Want me to fly Spirit?
Yeah.
Want me to take a boat?
No, he wants you to go home and do a drinking game to a repeat of round 1 of the NFL draft.
Meanwhile,
that sounds like fun.
Yeah, I know.
That sounds awesome.
Manny's like Googling Spirit Airlines trips to the Gulf of America, Padre Island or something.
Gulf of America. Okay, we see you guys on the phones.
I don't know why that just came
Easy,
out.
Clay Matthews.
Yeah, we can see you guys on
I
the
just
phones.
got a note from President Trump.
We'll play that for you next. How Clay Matthews opened up the draft was unexpected and funny. And so we'll play that next. MVP.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. All right. Wow. What a round one. Even for the lack of star power or whatever we thought was going to happen, this was really dramatic. And it started right off the bat with the Jacksonville Jaguars trading up to get Travis Hunter at number 2, trade a boatload for it, including next year's first-round pick. So the Browns moved down, ended up getting defensive tackle out of Michigan, and now they have 2 of the first 4 picks today, Pearl, and they got Mason Graham, and they get a 4th-rounder and next year's number 1 overall pick. Other big headline, Shedeur Sanders falls out of the first round. Dominic is in San Francisco, wants to talk about Shedeur. What's up, Dom?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Do you think maybe this thing with Sanders could turn into the Lonzo Ball of the NFL?
What way?
Well, I mean, with the parent meddling.
I had the same, by the way, Dominic, I know what you're talking about because I thought, who's the comp for Deion? Is it LeVar Ball? Because is it but the thing is, like, the Ball kids went really high. Number 2, and what was LaMelo? He was 6 or something. So actually,
similar flavor.
2, yeah. So they went really high. But I do think that it's totally different because I think Deion's a very serious person when he wants to be. But I do think teams are like, yeah, we don't want a big father in the house.
His kid isn't that good.
Okay, well,
yeah, but I honestly think if Shedeur was named Shedeur Smith, as we talked about, he would have gone higher.
I do too. But Dom, here, I've been critical of Deion this morning that I think they botched the pre-draft process. I've been saying that. I think they called themselves. They said this was going to be an Eli Manning situation where they were going to steer him where he wanted to go. I thought that was way too premature, and they meddled. I don't want to disrespect Deion Sanders by saying he's LeVar Ball. Never lost? No. Deion carries a lot more weight. LeVar, as you mentioned, Pearl, and I know he's had some health issues recently, so I want to tread lightly here, but he came off as running a 3-ring circus.
You mean
Deion can sometimes come across like that too, but Deion has the gravitas. They're not the same type of sports dad.
Okay. Yes, but there is a similar issue that'll be very active. Name a closer comp for Deion.
Yeah, but here's the thing. LeVar wanted to upset the industry. He wanted to do a shoe brand and all that stuff.
And he said he beat Michael Jordan in one, or could have beaten Michael Jordan. I understand. Deion is the real deal. Yeah. Absolutely. But there is a similarity that he'll be in the picture a lot. You're right. It's unfair. Like, Deion's awesome.
Come on. It's Deion Sanders. Guys.
But I think teams are afraid of Deion. I really think that's the issue.
George is in L.A. George, how about your Rams last night? They are not getting enough credit for the move they pulled on the Atlanta Falcons, which was trading out of their pick to give Atlanta, James Pierce Jr. at 26, and they got next year's first-round pick out of the Falcons for that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful move. They bamboozled the Falcons, I think, but I was going to talk about Shedeur Sanders. If the Rams don't pick him, then we really have an issue as far as he's going. I think they want the Rams to pick him, but I don't know if they will or not. They have 2 for next year, and I don't know if they're going to try to go after Arch or not. Of course, they got to compete with the Cleveland Browns, too. They have 2 next year also. Anyway, it's good to speak to you guys, and I figured out your new system.
Our new system? Oh, our new phone number. I know.
Yeah,
we got
yeah.
a whole new number, 888-710-4ISN. Save it in your phone. George, good to hear from you, too. Rams made a big move. And then obviously the Giants are the other big takeaway from last night, which is...
And the Jags, too, I think.
Well, the Jags for sure, getting Travis Hunter.
Oh, you're talking about the big takeaway.
Big takeaways from the first round.
Yeah.
The Giants trading back into the first round to get Jackson Dart passing on Shedeur. And now those guys, in my opinion, are going to be linked here because, I think most people thought that Shedeur actually was a better prospect than Jackson Dart, even if it was just by a little bit, and the Giants said no thanks.
I think 20 years from now, we're going to look back at the 2025 draft, and we're going to be talking about one thing. It's going to be the Travis Hunter draft. I think that is,
how far does he take Jacksonville?
I think he's going to be he's like going to be like Deion. I think he's going to be a face of the NFL. But by the way, I didn't say it's going to work. I just think this was such a huge deal. I think we're going to look back at I think he's going to be a big deal. I think he's going to have a Shohei-like impact. I don't think he's going to be quite as good as Shohei, but I think he's going to be what we're all going to be watching in the fall. And him and Ashton, Jeanty, not Jackson Dart.
Question is, are the Jags going to be able to maximize this? That will have to be a question for Monday.
Good question.
Thank you, DJ Stewart and Manny Rodriguez. I know everyone's working on very little sleep today, so thank you guys so much for bringing it. As always, thank you to Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan. We are thinking about your dog today, Cap, and thinking about you. See you Monday, guys.
You're in a 5-minute break.